And here we go. It's not loading the chat. Here we go. Here we go. Can you see us? Huh? I hope so. I'll wait till you guys say you can see us before I say anything else. Yes?
I hope
Yes?
so.
No, yes? Yes, no? Yeah, we're on. Fucking A. Woo!
Sorry about that. I've just had a whole pile of shit, rhino shit, fall into my lap called bad luck today. I've just not been having a good one. It was a mic issue. Mike, I got this camera. I'm trying to figure out how to use it to give you guys better picture quality on my end, and fucking around with it on a Chromebook. It somehow rebooted the settings to the original factory settings, and then the Shure mic wouldn't work. So I had to go. Basically, it's called just turn your computer off and turn it back on and hope for the best. Because I was like, I don't know what the fuck to do.
Yeah, that's a shitstorm, man. And it's also snowing a lot. Apparently, we're pretty laggy, but hopefully that smooths its way out. Good golly, Miss Molly. How the hell are you guys? Apologies for the lateness. We'll make it up to you with sexual favors and frosted flakes.
For sure.
Plenty of frosted flakes.
And whole milk.
Yeah, the good shit. The kind of stuff you do when you're not on a diet. Yeah.
Kill it.
Man. All right. Well, sorry for making you all wait. And also, there was a super chat here that I saw. I can't find it. Okay. Lucifer Morningstar with the super chat that now disappeared again because what the fuck is going on? It says, you guys are awesome and the best comedy duo ever. No, you're fucking awesome. And thanks for waiting.
Thank you. That was really nice of you. I'm glad to see that you have no pants on. Let's get to it.
Right inside of it. Brittany Bush. Hey, Brittany, what's up? She says, just wanted to say, hey, can't stay because I have to keep my phone charged. Houston is still cold as hell, and this has been a rough few days. Love you guys. Hope all's well. Hey, to Brittany and everybody in Texas, especially those of you guys without power, our hearts and thoughts are with you, man. That's a shit show. That's a bunch of bullshit.
Rough. You guys are probably like, what in the fuck? Who rolled a 5 or an 8 in Jumanji? Because it's Dallas, Texas, and this is crazy shit.
Dude, like
2021 was supposed to start off different, and this motherfucker's already crazy as shit. Like I got a goddamn Arctic witch taking a dump all over the place. Ridiculous shit.
Yeah, man, it's nuts. I keep reading about it, and I saw that the power company that's responsible for like all the power outages and shit like that was like tweeting smart-ass tweets like, maybe you should have unplugged your appliances that you got while you were on COVID, while you were on whatever you call it, quarantine, and saved power. And everybody's like, are you fucking shitting me right now? Like, my home doesn't have power. It's like 2 degrees outside, and you're doing a cutesy tweet right now? Fuck right off.
That represent, if you call in and you're like, hey man, my Android or my iPhone's not working, and then they're like, have you tried turning it on? You're like, yes, bitch, I'm looking at it. It's fucking dead.
I can't say anything. That was basically me to you when we were trying to figure out your camera earlier. I was like, is it on?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you work on it like a little bit like that. I was like, yeah, I've already tried that. I know.
Hey, it's always the thing you don't think of. I've called those people before, and they've been like, have you tried turning on? I'm like, of course I have. Oh. Thank you.
Yeah, I have done shit like that before, but I mean, I was like, yeah, I already knew all that, but yeah, I guess it's just the way that it's delivered, especially on the phone. Like, have you turned it on? You're like, yes. oh, which one? This button?
Andrew Graziosa, thanks, buddy. Says 2 quick questions: worst horror movie ever, and thoughts on the Blob 1988. I have not seen the Blob 1988 in such a long time. I really, honestly, can't fairly comment. It's been ages.
The Blob 88 I thought was better than the original one. I mean, it had a lot more gore and shit in it. It was actually a pretty good horror movie for what it was.
Yeah, and then worst horror movie ever, probably Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we were just talking about that last night. That's one of the worst things I've ever seen on film ever. Like, I mean, that shit, it's like worse than like the snuff films in 8mm. That's just gross.
Yeah, dude.
I would say, I think the worst horror movie I've ever seen in my life has got to be Child's Play. No, I'm kidding. But I don't know. That would be a hard one. There was that one fucking Great Value Hellraiser movie that they came out with, where the guy like just went to Halloween Express and bought a pinhead costume and acted like they were spooky people. I was like, yeah, that's pretty bad. That's the one right off the top of my head I can think of.
Yeah, that's a pretty good choice. And then we both hated The Gallows quite a bit too. but that's just because they built that shit up so much. Yeah, Thanksgiving was one of those. The first time I watched it, I didn't think it was that horrible because I had about a fifth of wild turkey in me, literally. And so did someone else in that movie. But I went back and re-edited it for something, and I was just watching. I was like, this shit is like offensively bad. Like, it's not even funny. It's just gross. Like, a turkey is having sex with what the fuck is going on here?
I remember we had to watch it for Thanksgiving. That was one of the worst struggles, even with beer. I was like, this is getting bad. Like, I thought we were going to be fine, and I was like, there's just not enough beer in the world. It just doesn't work.
It's a dark night.
If we were smoking like fucking crack or something, and like snorting coke, we might have had a better time. But other than that, the hard drugs might do it.
You need it. You need it for shit like that, man. You really do. So news. We'll jump right into news since we were late. Don't want to keep you guys waiting much longer. And you know what? Fuck it. We'll just go right into the Halloween kill stuff because as penance for our tardiness, Evan Alpaul says, hey guys, I was watching Fight Club clips earlier and this popped into my head. Any historical figure, living or dead, who you would fight? That's a good question.
I'd fight. I think I'd fight fucking old George Washington. First off, he has wooden teeth, so you know his teeth are coming out early. If you hit him really good, he's probably gonna be shocked that his old wooden teeth came out. And second off, he's got a wig on, so you can grab that shit and snatch it off. And I don't know. I think you can take old George.
Yeah.
Even though he was a general, so he had some strategies.
Well, you definitely want to fight someone you can win against. So I'm not really sure if I could kick Tom Brady's ass. Because he's in good shape.
He'd eat you alive.
Yeah, he's a much more physical man than I am. He probably doesn't look like he could whip much ass, but I don't think he'd want to fuck with him. Geez, that's a tough one, Jim.
Maybe Socrates. He's all into philosophy and shit. You can whoop that old man's ass.
I'll go really simple here. I'll think on this later and maybe tweet it or something. I'm just gonna go real simple here. I'm just gonna go with Hitler. I'd like to fight Hitler. I think I could take that little angry shit. I don't think he was much of an actual fighter. I think he's more of a talker.
Yeah, or Napoleon Bonaparte. He was even shorter.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I kicked that fucker like child's play.
But like in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, when he was like fucking playing bowling, that's all he is. Like, yeah.
Short people can fight though. I mean that's one true thing. You gotta watch.
I did watch Ace Ventura When Nature Calls, and Tommy Davidson jumped out of the backpack. I mean, he was short and he was ferocious, but it's not.
I was unaware that the wood shooter were fighters. Anyways, I hope you guys are having an awesome night. Not dealing too much with the weather. I know in Texas you guys have it rough. Here it's just everything's a fucking icicle basically. But we have power, so I'm not going to complain, not a bit.
Yeah,
at all. And
is it snowing over there?
I don't know. It's been off and on all day, so I don't know if it is right now or not.
Supposed to get a big giant amount of it, like starting at 10.
Yeah, it's supposed to start all over fucking again tonight, man. I'm sick of looking at it, but at least I don't have to drive in it, and we have power, so I'm not going to complain. We lost power with that storm a couple years ago, and that was a fucking shit show. So I know how bad that is, man. We were without for like 3 days, and that is way rougher than you would think. Like you imagine, like, oh, it'd be okay, and then it happens. You're like 20 minutes in, you're like, I can't. I'm cold. Fuck, this sucks. It's the worst feeling ever. Jarvis Fitzpatrick, what's up, buddy? He says, hey, my favorites just scored one hell of an interview with Frito-Lay and am now hired starting in March. You guys have inspired me to move on to bigger and better things. Love you guys. Hey!
Fuck Jarvis, good job, man. That's awesome.
They call him New Job Jarvis in the streets because that's who he is.
You make those fucking chips. Do it!
Do it with pride. And I'm going to make the dips, and then we're going to put them together. And then we're going to have chips and dip.
Work. Frito lay with you.
I make crunchy shit.
Hey, dude, I found this new guy. I was watching this compilation of these funny memes and whatever. This guy called Be a Man. I think he's on TikTok. I don't know. But, dude, he's funny as fuck. He's kind of this overweight, like normal-looking American dad kind of guy.
Yeah.
He says little phrases like, he's like, don't go food shopping. Starve and die. Be a man. It's like how his idea, and he's like, be a man. And then he's like, don't automatically start your car, like one of those automatic switches or whatever. He's like, go out and freeze your balls off. Be a man. I was like, dude, that sounds just like somebody like Big Dad would say back in the day.
I was going to say that.
Be a man.
That sounds like the men that we grew up around, No matter what you did, you're a pussy.
Yeah,
it's like
exactly.
Nicotine patches? You mean bitch stickers?
Your fucking elbow could be hanging out of your arm. They'd be like, walk that shit off, you big puss. Big puss.
Yeah. Courtney Reed said country fried steak overrated. Oh, my friend. By itself, yes. Country fried steak is overrated. But you dip that shit in some sausage gravy? You never
get
knew.
into fried steak. I'd rather just get a steak. Fuck it. I don't want a country fried steak. Just make that shit normal.
Yeah, steak is better. But like I said, man, the first time I had it like smothered in gravy, you dirty old man.
It's like that. He's like, yeah, man, give me that refried beans. Like, fuck that. Just give me the regular beans. Like, get that shit right the first time. Why you got to refry it?
Okay, so Halloween Kills news. This is a little bit old. Not gonna lie to you. Hang on one sec. Let me fix this little poopy thing right here, and then this is a little bit old from a few days ago, but we haven't had a chance to talk to you guys about it, so definitely wanted to do that. Let me see here. Take that one down. Put 2 more up. Oh, here we are. So John Carpenter, the great one-ology, talked to NME.com and answered a couple questions about Halloween. There's the usual stuff in here. He says that it's, he said, Holy Toledo, it's the ultimate slasher movie. It's Halloween on steroids. It's great. Stuff we've all heard before. So I'll just move right on to the new shit. They said, where does it stand in comparison to the rest of the movies in the franchise? And John Carpenter responded basically for Malek Akkad and said, well, the producer and owner of the Halloween franchise, Malek Akkad, says it's the second best one right after the first. So that's from him.
That's a high honor right there.
Yeah, man.
Holy shit hole.
He says, I think it's a balls out slasher movie. We haven't had one of those in a long time. So, and I know every time we talk about this, everybody says, of course that's what they're going to say. They're paid to do that. And yeah, I understand that. But this is just another instance of, again, Akkad's not saying this. John Carpenter's saying that that's what Akkad told him. So that's a private conversation that they had betwixt each other. No news cameras around, no nothing. If Malek Akkad didn't say that directly to John Carpenter, then I don't feel like John Carpenter would just go out there talking out of pocket like a bitch. Because John Carpenter's not a bitch. Are you calling John Carpenter a bitch? No.
Okay. I agree with you. I think that John Carpenter's for sure not like saying that out of school. He's not telling tales outside of school. I think that John Carpenter, if he didn't give a shit about the movie or give a fuck about them, he's already pretty much said that about Rob Zombies. He's like, I was doing it for a paycheck. He's like, go have a ball, go have a good time. He never gave it praise or dissed it in any way. He just didn't give a shit. That's great news. Malek Akkad, like the whole fucking thing is great. Like that's awesome.
Yeah, I like it. I like it deep into my tendrils at night, and I want to sleep with it. Yeah, I want to eat butter. They said another sequel, Halloween Ends, is also on the release slate. Now, this news is less fun than the last news that we just talked about. Another sequel, Halloween Ends, is also on the release slate. What stage is that at? John Carpenter said, we've all read the script, and we love it. So now we've just got to wait until things are a little bit safer to make it, which means that they're officially not making Halloween Ends at the moment, at least.
Yeah, well, with everything going on right now, I could see why. But I mean, I did see also in a side note attached to that, like I think that I don't know if it was John Carpenter that said that or I can't remember the guys that actually said that, but he's like, if Halloween Kills has to go to streaming, then it'll go to streaming. Or I think they said that it will go to streaming most likely anyway. Like it's going to probably release at the exact same time. And that's why people were saying, well, you could have released this last year. Yeah. Like you could just go ahead and fucking done it.
Well, that's actually the next question they asked him that I was going to get into about it going straight to streaming. But he said, I mean, the fact that they're not filming it right now is one thing. It is kind of weird though, because someone said, I know Jamie Lee Curtis just got casted in the Borderlands movie, and this was just someone on Twitter I saw said this. They were like, well, it's probably because the schedule conflicts with the other shit that she's doing now. But I also wonder, a lot of people are filming right now. Like there's a bunch of people filming. They're just doing it with the COVID protocols. And I wonder if Blumhouse, Universal, whoever, just decided, hey, we bought ourselves a whole year by having to push out Halloween Kills, which I still believe is one of the reasons it didn't just go to VOD. We bought ourselves a whole year. Let's just use it. Let's just wait the year. And when things get better, we'll start filming. When we don't have to go through all the complications of COVID, we'll start filming. And then if it makes the release date, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But after hearing that, I'm not. My hopes aren't high that we're going to see Halloween Ends in 2022.
It really kind of sucks because I feel like when the iron's hot, you should keep on striking that bitch home. Like I don't know, bang the drum. You release Halloween Kills, and you wait too long in between movies. I don't know if that's a really good strategy in the long run. I mean, yeah, it could give you more time to maybe develop a better idea or shoot it better or whatever, but like you got to hit it now while it's hot. And like right now, Halloween is at the very center of the renaissance that's happening in a lot of these classic horror films. So I mean, I would think you got to get that shit made. Like I'm not saying rush it to production, But like you mentioned, I mean, it was already proven you can still shoot the thing in post-COVID world.
Yeah.
I mean, Tom Cruise is out there fucking screaming at his goddamn, AIDS and get his fucking coffee and fuck off if you're not wearing a mask shit. So you can still do it.
You
just gotta
motherfuckers.
Yeah, he's like, you gotta. He goes, that's what keeps me up at night. But you gotta have those kind of protocols set in place, and it's easy for them to do that. I don't know, man. Like, I also makes me wonder if there's something going on behind the scenes that we're not privy to. Obviously, we're not on the set or working, but if there's any kind of problems going on where it's being delayed, maybe something with casting, maybe one of the actors or actresses being unhappy. I mean, there could be a million different reasons why they delay it, but I hope it's not because of those reasons and it's just the COVID thing, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
But it could also be them maybe just wanting a balloon, like a pillow between. Maybe they hope the theaters open back up in full force and they maybe give it an extra year.
Yeah. I bet they have a date in mind, and they're like, hey, if this happens and this happens and the cases go down to this amount or the restrictions are backed up to this amount to where we can successfully and easily film the movie by this date, then we'll go ahead and we're going to push to get the movie out. But if those things don't happen by this date, we're good. Let's just put the bitch to 2023, have a year in between the movies. Nothing wrong with that. It sucks because like right now we're like, part of us is like, I don't give a shit. I get Halloween Kills in October, and that's going to happen. They said it's happening no matter what, hell or high water. So I think right now, part of me is like, I don't really care. I just want to see Halloween Kills right now. But then as soon as Halloween Kills ends, I'm going to be like, man, when are we getting that fucking next movie? I'm going to be on it,
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. By the way, I noticed a couple of people are saying my mic is low. I turned it up a little bit, but the last time I did it, it was like blasting through people's ears.
You sound better now. I thought you were quiet, but that was just, everybody said the audio was fine at first, so I thought it was just me.
I turned it up and moved it a little closer to my mouth like I like it, okay? So it's in a good reach for that cocksuck.
Get inside of it.
I'm gonna fucking be slathering all over this like I'm Johnny Cash in the fucking concert. Hey, I'm Johnny Cash.
Yeah, up to the Johnny Cash part, it sounds good. So I think you're probably good now. I thought it was just mine. Ryder says these boys are my boys. Cut them off in slices.
Oh shit! I don't know how to think about that, but thank you, Richard Ramirez. I thought you were dead.
Ryan Gillen says my power went out on Christmas Day, so I poured a glass of whiskey and sang songs till I went to sleep. LOL. That's a good idea. That's what. Great.
That sounds like something like that Be a Man guy would say. He's like, hey, when your power goes out, don't be a girl and cry to the power company. Fucking drink yourself some wild turkey and pass out and die from freezing.
Fuck heat. Drink this bottle.
Yeah, that's true, man. Like you get a little whiskey in you, that really does warm you from the inside.
It does. It
reminds me every time I drink it, because I'm not a hard liquor guy, but it always reminds me of that Liam Neeson moment in Batman Begins when he's like, goes, don't worry about your arms, they'll take care of themselves. Rub your chest.
But that's true though, because when you get cold, the first thing you want to do is rub your fucking arms. But I think of that too. It's like, this shit's not doing anything, Liam. God damn it. Marcus Hicks says, are you guys excited about the Mortal Kombat reboot? And did you know the first trailer drops tomorrow? I did know that.
And I didn't know.
Me's excited about it.
I'm so happy to get, like, you're gonna get Mortal Kombat. You get to watch it from the comfort of your home. You get to watch a brand new fucking Mortal Kombat movie, which looks like they're actually paying respect to the actual source material. So I'm fucking hyped up. I did see the poster for Sub-Zero. Sub-Zero wins. I thought that looks badass. Like, he looks cool as shit. He's got the ice sword, so he looks more like Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance Sub-Zero rather than the original Mortal. But I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I saw Scorpion today, and like it's very I don't know. I'll say Batman Begins. It's very like practical looking. It's just a still, so I don't know what it's going to look like. But everything looks practical except for the Sub-Zero's magic so far from what we've seen. But yeah, that trailer drops tomorrow. We're gonna see about doing a reaction.
I gotta be honest, man. Even with the original Mortal Kombat movie, like, I know it had problems. Obviously, it wasn't the perfect movie. It was still a great cast. And honestly, I thought that the costumes they had on Sub-Zero and Scorpion, while basic, it actually paid homage pretty fucking well to the games. And I was like, I liked it. And I thought that reptile scene was fucking one of the most classic scenes ever.
Yeah, I have no problem with how they looked in that movie. I think that movie is a little underrated, to be honest with you. I mean, it's got dumb shit in it, but
yeah. So the Johnny Cage, the guy they cast as Johnny Cage was fucking great. I mean, it was. I know it wasn't Jean-Claude Van Damme who they wanted, but I mean, it was still fucking. He was still good.
Yeah.
He's like, those are $500 sunglasses, asshole.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with how they looked at all in that movie, man. But I'm super excited to see it, man. I can't wait to see what's going on there. The Shape in the Shadows. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. It says, sup, Mike and Jay. The Wham Fam. Hope you all are doing good. My girlfriend wants a shout out from Dr. Loomis about girl baby names.
All right, you say I have a girl baby names. Okay, so one thing you don't want to name it is Lois Strug. Okay, it's doomed to failure. It's fucked if you do that. Don't name it Laurie. Don't name it Strode. Don't even name it a goddamn name that rhymes with Laurie or Strode. And don't name it Jamie or Cookie Woman. I don't know. You know what? Be safe. Name it Beth. I mean, goddamn. What's his name from the Beatles? Wrote a song about her. No, it was Kiss. It was those ones that walked around like wussies in their makeup. Those Kiss boys. Knights in Satan's service. Pieces of shit. Yeah. The Cat wrote that song, Beth. Name it Beth. I like it.
The Cat.
Good luck to you.
The Nightmare Man says, wow, they almost made 3 Halloween films in a row pretty quick. So I hope they don't lose all that steam when they finally get to make Halloween Ends.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah, I mean, like, popularity-wise, I think that's something they got to fear about. But, I mean, typically, movies don't come out one after another. If anything, I actually think, and don't get me wrong, I want to see it the following year. But if anything, if you think about, like, The Hunger Games and Harry Potter and shit like that, or Twilight, like those movies that were filming all their shit back to back, and then they would have one like 9 months after another or a year after another. To me, it felt like that first movie had a lot more like buoyance behind it. And then the one would come out a year later and you're like, oh, fuck, the new Harry Potter's out today? I thought people were going to go nuts for that. And they show up for it, but when they're so close to each other, they don't really have the same fanfare, it feels like, at least just to me.
I feel like it's one of those things, like, again, it's risky. It's a risky thing because I'm saying, like, I'm not saying like hardcore Halloween or horror fans wouldn't mind the wait on it, but if you're going to talk about the vanilla people, like the vanilla audience going to see it and giving it money to keep it churning, it's risky because if you have too long in between this big giant franchise or these great movies, and then people are like, I'm not really interested anymore. They've got like Conjuring 18 happening or something. It's like, yeah. You lose that little bit of flame or spark you had.
Yeah, and also too, like, this is a little bit different because at least back in the day, the movie would come out and then a few months later or whatever, then there would be the DVD release, so that would hype up stuff a little bit more. But if Halloween Kills goes straight to theaters and goes straight to streaming at the same time, you're also not going to have that bump of it being available for rental for the first time because it's going to be available for rental as soon as it happens. So there might be double losing there. But
well, I mean, if it's available streaming right away, you might reach more audiences, right? Because they don't have to go out and rent the movie or anything like that.
Yeah.
If it was on which again, HBO Max is probably doing it smart because you have to pay a subscription service for their streaming platform to be able to watch all these movies. Like if something like that happened for something Halloween Kills to release on that a platform where you have to be a subscription monthly or whatever. I don't know. I mean, but then again, the VOD is not going to be that expensive. It's going to be like $18 or something, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's true. I think they'll probably do like $18, $20 or something like that. They won't be try to fucking butt rape you like Disney with Mulan. We want you to pay $7 a month for our streaming service, and then it was like $26 or $30 for Mulan to rent it on top.
They charge that?
Yeah, on top of the streaming service fees.
Holy fuck! I thought it was free because HBO Max has got that sweet, sexy Zack Snyder for free with the subscription.
Yep.
God damn, that's like old school Xbox Live behind a paywall, bitch. You can't play our multiplayer unless you pay that $60 or that $9.99 a month.
Yeah, dude.
Exactly. I thought it was free. It's free on PSN.
Tiny bit more news from the last piece of Halloween Kill stuff. They obviously asked him, hey, could you share something from the script? And he said, no, fuck you. He said, unfortunately, I can't. They'll come kill me if I tell you anything. They asked him about streaming. Nothing really there, but Here's and you alluded to this earlier. They said, can you see the Halloween movies ending up being released in the same way as far as like to a streaming service or VOD? And he said, and carefully listen to you guys to his words here because it's being spun in a completely different way if you read the headlines. He says, sure, Halloween may be shared that way because theaters are dead. It's just the reality right now, and it's a tragedy, but it's true. We just have to face it. The studio did contact David and I, and they told us, and they had us put off the new one by a year in the hope that things got better. So we're still hoping it'll get better. The problem with that is that a bunch of sites are running with headlines like, John Carpenter says Halloween Kills is going straight to VOD. And he very clearly
got this cover front page.
He very clearly did not say that. He said it like in his best guess. He's like, yeah, I think it might go to VOD. He's not in control of that. He says it in this exact same thing here. He says that they called him and told them they were putting it off by a year.
Yeah.
So
like the same kind of conversation that we had with Chris Nelson back when we first had him on. Like last year. I mean, he was even in the same opinion then, and I agreed that most likely it was going to be streaming. Everything was going to be at some point on VOD or streaming. And I think that John Carpenter's just saying, you got to get with the times, man. Like that's just probably what's going to happen. That's just the way that it's evolved. and that's the end of the story. I mean, that's just the way it is. So
Here's a question for you. Do you think that a year ago, or almost a year ago, when we were wondering, is this going to go to VOD or is it going to go to theaters? There was a huge audience saying, it better not go straight to VOD. It better not. It needs to be in theaters for everybody to see. Do you think now that it's already been pushed back a year, if they come out, and in all likelihood is they're going to put it on VOD and theaters at the same time, I think. But if they come out and say it's on VOD this time, do you think anybody's actually going to be pissed, or they're going to be like, nah, man, it's been a year. Fuck it. Let's put this bitch on.
I was fucking fine with it last year.
Yeah.
Like to have them release it in October on VOD, like, and people were getting their panties in a bunch about it. Like, I'm like, listen, we all get to fucking experience Halloween Kills in October of 2020, where it was a shitty year anyway. Let's have some fucking good news in there and give us like this Halloween movie. They push it back a year again in the hopes that this all had got cleared up, but it didn't happen. I don't think anybody, like at this point, like I think that people have started to realize, like, you know, things ain't gonna go back exactly the way they were, and things have changed to a degree now that studios, the market, it's all evolved to include VOD, and VOD was always on the horizon. It wasn't like it was some unknown monster that just came up and snatched your testicles out of nowhere. Like, this thing has been floating around for a while. So I mean, it's not like the writing was on the wall for a long time. Just like the you know, Blockbuster, Hollywood Video, all those movie stores knew that Netflix was a rising entity. You know, all Hulu, all that shit, they knew. I mean, it was just a matter of time.
Yeah, and I think they were holding on. They were clutching their pearls for as long as they possibly could. I will say this, though. I feel differently this time about it going on VOD than I did a year or so ago, because then theaters were closed, like almost nationwide. Like, you couldn't go see a movie. Today, if I want to go, I can go see a movie in the theater, and they're giving you the option. Like, not having an option to go see it in the theater feels a lot different.
I feel like that was wrong. I feel like I understand why they did it. But if you give the people the opportunity to choose what they like to do, and you release it at the same time, you give the option for VOD or you give the option to the theater experience, I feel like that is, you know, the best you're going to get. That's the closest you're going to get to have your cake and eat it too. Like, it's not going to be a full cake. It's going to be like a little Debbie cake, but it's still going to be some kind of cake that you get to have. So yeah, man, I don't know.
And it's going to be an IMAX.
And by the way, I am not in support of the death of theater, like, at all. Like, I mean, it sucks, man. It seems like forever before I don't even remember the last movie I saw in the theater because it's been so long. But, you know, you can't help but notice that it's a lot easier access anymore to get the thing on VOD. It's a lot safer anymore, especially with, you know, you got, you know, nitwits running around saying fuck this mask shit and like not giving a fuck, and like the vaccine is slow and slowly trickling out. It's not available for everyone yet. So I mean, I don't know, I feel like that's a smart move, and I feel like that's the right move.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm Mickey talking to fucking Rock. I feel like it's a smart move, Rock. It's the right.
You're a tomato can.
You gotta retire.
Vinny with the super chat. That's just what we were about to talk about, man. He says, not sure if you heard, but John Carpenter talked about a possible sequel to The Fog, and that's what else he says here. The last little bit of this, he says, I like cheese. He said that they said Halloween spawned a number of sequels, and Escape from New York got a sequel. Have there ever been any discussions about doing sequels to any of your other films? And he says, sure. There's been a lot of talk, or there's been talk of a sequel to The Fog. There's been talk of sequels for a bunch of my movies. They just haven't happened yet because of various reasons. But yeah, we've talked about them, and I'm open to them. So
I'd be all right. You know what? I don't know. They did the Fog remake, and
that was bad, man.
Yeah, kind of. I did like Tom Welling, but that's just because I was a fan of Smallville. Clark, but I think that it was, yeah, you know, the Fog sequel, I could see it happen, but I almost feel like it's, like, I don't know, like, there were fucking pirates that came back for the goddamn treasure, and they used the Fog as cover. Like, did one of you motherfuckers keep an heirloom that they have to come back and get it again? Why has it been so long? I feel like, you know what, one movie I would love to see the sequel to is I know it was they did the prequel to The Thing. I would like for them to do like something like The Thing Part 2, but do it right with John Carpenter on board as an advisor or something. Or
yeah, which they've talked about. They had like the unearthed scripts about The Thing. I think they said something like that was happening, but I haven't heard anything since or what Carpenter's involvement will be. Yeah, I mean, The Fog is The Fog. To me, though, John Carpenter directing anything, I'm fucking on. I'm like, yeah, give it to me. I'm fine with whatever it is. You know, it could be anything. As far as other people directing his films with him advising over them like he's done Halloween Kills, yeah, sure, there's The Fog. I mean, I don't think that's the worst thing, but I think the best part about The Fog wasn't actually the Ghost Pirates. I think the best thing about the Fog was John Carpenter's score, the John Carpenter feel to the film. Tom Atkins
really good. Yeah.
basically playing a different version of Dr. Chalice. You know, when he's sitting in the truck drinking, she's like, "Are you weird?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm weird." Like, he just shrugs his beer while he's driving.
Did you ever notice that in the Fog, the original Fog, didn't they all look like they were getting ready? Like when they came out of the fog and you could just see their silhouettes, did they look like Michael Jackson was about to break out Thriller? They were just creeping out of the dark. I was waiting on Vincent Price to be the narrator.
I would love to see tons of John Carpenter's shit, you know, get touched on again. And I know some of it he was pissed about. He was pissed about them trying to do Big Trouble in Little China.
That, you know what? I don't think that movie should be touched. I really don't. I mean, it's one of those other movies we talked about last night. Which by the way, check it. We're gonna have the commentary for The Crow coming up pretty soon, which is a big movie. But that's like one of those films. I think The Big Trouble in Little China was so solidly put together. It was a great cast. It was just it caught its moment in time perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you can really recast that movie with any success. I'm not saying that you couldn't get like The Rock to be Jack Burton and not pull off a decently good story, but it's never going to be the same level that the original one was.
And dude, I like The Rock. Like, I think he's a great dude. Yeah. I have no problem with him at all. But as far as acting goes, he's a fine actor, but he's no Kurt fucking Russell, dude. He's just not. And that's not a shot. There's a lot of actors that aren't Kurt fucking Russell, you know? And he did say in that, he was like, I would love to work with Kurt Russell again. He said, I'd like to work with Amy Adams. He was a fan of her, Jennifer Lawrence. You could tell that he's thought a lot about directing, but COVID's basically just been like, I don't even have to worry about it because that shit ain't happening anytime soon.
Well, JT Custom says, I want a sequel from Escape from LA. That they actually had talked about that. Kurt Russell had mentioned, along with John Carpenter, that he would love to come back to Snake Plissken and do something, maybe one more movie with. Would be fucking phenomenal to get an old ass Snake Plissken, have one more adventure. I know he'd have to die. I mean, that's just what you got to do at that point. But I mean, it would be a great story. There was also in Escape from LA, they mentioned Cleveland, which was we never got a movie. We got Escape from New York, Escape from LA, but he mentioned Cleveland before LA. So I was like, you could get a prequel in there if you wanted to and cast young, like Jack Burton or youngish Snake Plissken to play that part. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot you could do with that, but to have Kurt Russell back at Snake Plissken one more fucking time, give me that. Yes, I want that on a platter with some A1 sauce.
Yeah, it's just weird because like Kurt Russell, I mean, obviously he's not in the same physical condition. He's not bad or anything. I don't know if he can pull off Snake Plissken though.
Like, I think it'd be funny because you have an older Snake Plissken that maybe has retired after LA, and then he has to get pulled back in it one more time.
Yeah,
I just think it would work.
Yeah, if you could make it work, dude, I'd be 100% in on it. I think that's one. I think Escape from LA is a weird movie, dude, because it had the fixins inside of it of another great movie. And I love the movie, but it's got some really corny bad shit in it, right? I feel like that's the kind of movie you remake if you're going to remake something. Like, as long as it's John Carpenter doing it and you got a fucking amazing Snake Plissken type dude to do it, you update the graphics. That's a movie that has the bones of something great, and it just didn't fold out into the platter.
It had some good. It had, like, I don't know. I enjoyed it because I liked the cheesiness, corniness of it. But did it stack up as well as New York? No, because I mean, you had Donald Pleasance playing the fucking president for one thing. Was it exactly the same story as New York? Pretty much, yeah. The president's daughter has been captured. You got to go over the wall into L.A., which is now a prison colony, and rescue her. I mean, it's got the same kind of plot, but I think Kurt Russell is so fucking cool, and I liked him as Snake Plissken. I want to see more of that.
Yeah. Just
give me more of that. And plus, Bruce Campbell was hilarious as the Surgeon General, or whatever he was. He was like, what a beautiful blue eye. Damn, you only got one. Nurse?
I think the main problem with that movie is the graphics were fucking, like, CW had better graphics back then. Like, the channel of the CW, they were awful.
I don't know who talked John Carpenter into using that awful fucking Power Rangers samurai sword shit on the boat going into LA.
The worst.
That I was like, is this like this? That looked like a fucking beta version of PlayStation 2, like when they were testing it. But I mean, John Carpenter is more effective, and in my opinion, in like practical effects. Like, look at the thing, man. Like the way they made those shots happen. Holy shit.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
It is what it is.
Daniel Flores says Michael Myers is dead. Stop making these movies. No.
Michael Myers is dead every time. You just make yourself stupid, Mom.
Going to Yosemite. Going. Edward Santiago says these sequels to The Thing should be called Another Thing, The Other Thing, and the final one. Look at this thing.
That's everything that you just said. It sounded like a goddamn Ultimate Warrior promo for a WWF match in the early 90s.
I was
One more thing, another thing, and things from the earth rise up, and the warrior, little warriors know that only Ultimate can save them.
I always think of what's the fuck? Tropic Thunder, Tug Speedman, and it's like Scorcher. Again. You know what I mean? Like, it's so fucking spot on.
I don't know what you honestly. That's a good question. Like, what you would call The Thing Part 2? Like, that's actually what I would call The Thing Part 2. I mean, because when they did the prequel to it, it was just called The Thing. I would just call it The Thing Part 2. Like, I don't know. You got to, like, again, it doesn't work if you don't get John Carpenter involved. Like, it just doesn't work. That's why that prequel was such asshole.
Yeah.
Like, it was just a terrible movie.
And they even had Joel Edgerton, who's a badass actor. Just did not do it. You can't do a movie that's, and I can't remember if they exactly did this, but I'm pretty sure I remember it being CGI. You can't do a movie that's lauded and known for its practical effects and then remake it and go, we're going to use CGI. Like, you can't do it.
There were some moments in that prequel, because I was on this Thing kick for a little bit, but there were some moments in that prequel that were pretty freaky, like the upside down head girl or whatever. That was pretty good. I mean, even with the special effects, that was pretty awesome. But I mean, overall, it just didn't have the same magic that the original one had, like, at all. Like, it just didn't have the same kind of charisma that the other movie carried with it. I mean, because that movie was just fucking stacked full of intrigue and mystery, and it had great, like, the casting was way better too. Like, from top to bottom was better.
Yeah, movies, then they aren't paced that way anymore. And that's another thing when you talk about remaking John Carpenter's movies with the Jack Burtons and the Snake Plisskens and stuff like that. I think they ran into the same problem when they tried to do the Expendables 3 and they tried to pass it on to a new generation. Like, there's not really a generation to pass it on to. I'm not trying to shit on today's actors or anything like that, but who out there is a Jean-Claude Van Damme? Who out there is an Arnold Schwarzenegger? Who out there is Kurt Russell? Like, there's people, sure, but they're few and far between. Like, there's.
I want to go with The Rock for all of the above. Thank you.
That's what I'm saying.
That's the only one I can think of.
And it's 100%. Not the same. He's like a Mickey Mouse version of those dudes. Like, don't get me wrong.
I could give two. I could give The Rock, and I'll give it for Chris Hemsworth. But those are the only two, and I don't even know. Well, Chris Hemsworth could pull it off, but that's about it.
Maybe. I don't think that he couldn't. It's just, but it doesn't. Am I wrong? It still doesn't feel the same.
No.
Like, you put Chris Hemsworth in there, it's still not Kurt fucking Russell. Like, everybody's too nice now. I feel like, like, I need an actor who's going to be smoking cigarettes in the trailer and, like, literally is Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Everybody's just too sensitive nowadays for the kind of actors that we grew up with. I think that's the reality of it is. And then, like, those guys were like, there was something about that generation for me anyway. Like, they were very charismatic kind of dudes. Like, they just were able to carry this, like, Herculean type of body and personality, and then also have charm on top of it. You can't get all that those essentials anymore. By the way, Vinny C is in here. He says you should call the sequel Things. Or The Thing.
I like Things.
I was like, so there are multiple different ones. I was like, that actually makes sense. Make the plural, so you make the S on it. I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
These Things. That'd be the third one. These Things. Troy Grope says, love the channel, guys. You guys are awesome. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate that, man. Andrew Wolf says, John Carpenter's Ghosts of Mars was supposed to be an Escape from L.A. sequel. I did not know that. In fact, if you look, Ice Cube is wearing the same clothes Snake wears in L.A.
Oh.
Did you know that?
Was he? I didn't know it was supposed to be a sequel. I think
originally,
I didn't know.
Maybe.
I think Ghosts of Mars is actually an underrated fucking movie. If you guys get a chance to check that out, if you never watched it, you need to watch that movie. It's corny in a lot of ways that we were mentioning about, like, Escape from LA, but it's got a good vibe to it. Like, it's got a really good charm to it. And it's a great action flick on top of a sci-fi kind of horror movie. It's good, man. Like, trust me. And Ice Cube is, like, not like you would think immediately, like, oh, starring Ice Cube, it's gonna be some kind of dog shit, especially when it's a sci-fi movie. It's fucking good.
Yeah. In response to us saying if anybody was replaceable for the old school action stars, got some ideas from the chat. Ryder says Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy is mentioned quite a bit. You know what, Tom Hardy, he's in there all the time, man. And Tom Hardy would beat the shit out of both of us. So I would say, yeah, he's a fucking dude.
As much shit as I give, because you guys know I've had like several rants on here where it's like anytime you'd be like, hey, who's gonna play fucking Kris Kringle? Who's gonna play a dog? Who's gonna play fucking Michael Jordan? Everybody's like, Tom Hardy, dude. It's gotta be Tom Hardy. Every fucking casting that comes out, everybody's like, man, it's gotta be fucking Tom Hardy. And I just don't see it. I like Tom Hardy, but he's not the fucking greatest actor of all time. He's not a goddamn amoeba of acting. That being said, I actually think that's true. Tom Hardy does kind of have that. He's one of the few that does kind of. He could do a Snake Plissken, I think. Going against my own.
Tom Hardy could pull off a lot of the actions. Yeah, I give it to Tom Hardy too. I totally forgot. Well, here's the thing. Like, in my opinion, in a lot of ways, the actors of today just kind of blend together in a way that they didn't used to. Like, they were like back when I was growing up and we were like in the early 90s, late 80s, you had standout performances or like standout over the top, larger than life action heroes, and you could pick them out of a lineup. You know what I'm saying? Like, it feels like everybody nowadays, it's just like one blended vanilla cream with no goddamn sprinkles.
Yeah.
Like, I get nothing but bland yogurt, bitch. Like, give me some of that vanilla ice cream.
Hardbody 217 said Scott Adkins, and no disrespect to Scott Adkins, but he's never been given a big role. You know what I mean? Like, he's never had a chance to, and maybe he has it and they're just not giving it to him. But when people think of old school action stars that are around today, I think a lot of people's mind goes to Scott Adkins. I totally get that.
You know, back in the day, I would have picked, and I guess now he's considered an old school action star, which is really hard for me to wrap my mind around. But the dude that played in Crank,
Jason Statham.
But I think that Jason Statham is considered amongst. I mean, he was in the Expendables, and in the Expendables was pretty much a grumpy old man for action stars.
Yeah.
So I mean, it kind of like he was thrown into that mix.
And he has his moments too. I don't not like him. Like, I like Crank a lot. I watch his movies, and I think he's not in any way not a serviceable actor. But at the same time, he kind of bores me. Do you get that same sense from him? Does he sort of bore you?
You know what it is? He just doesn't take me on the adventure that I want to be taken on. Like,
he's too
Stallone
chill.
would take me on. Yeah, Stallone would take me on that adventure, and I'd be like, "I'll ride your cock later." but Statham is like, it's not like it's not bad. He's not bad, but it's like, oh yeah, Jason Statham. You're like, yeah, you know. But if you're like, oh, Stallone's gonna be in it too, you're like, fuck yeah. But Jason Statham got invited. You know, it's like he's a cool guy. He's a cool guy to hang out with at the party, but that guy fucking drinks Michelob Ultra.
And you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's not their fault. Maybe it's just the way they make movies today. Maybe if you put a Jason Statham in a John Carpenter style film, he could have that fucking extra gruff to him that he needs. Another one. Oh fuck! I just had it and I lost it. God damn it! Shit, fuck. Forgot what I was gonna say.
You look like you got mad about a magic trick that you couldn't pull off.
Hey, Colin Farrell can get down. Like,
Colin Farrell, he's an underrated actor, dude. Like, nobody talks about Colin Farrell anymore.
He has a certain cool factor to him, you know?
I don't know about the action side of him. He's almost like smooth. Like, he really pulls off. I could see him as being a really smooth, like, James Bond villain. Like, a really good, like you know how they did the 006 or whatever that went rogue in GoldenEye? And they had Sean Bean do it. I could see him doing something like that.
I could see him doing something like that too. London Boulevard. If you guys are aching for a gangster movie to watch that you've never heard of, that's pretty fucking badass. Look up London Boulevard. He was really good in that. Edward says Jason Momoa. Yeah, again, the body type is there. The whole thing is there. The physical presence is there.
Well, and then I'm also seeing JT Custom says Henry Cavill. I mean, again, it's the same thing that Mike, like the body. I don't know. Henry Cavill can pull off some shit though. I mean, Mission Impossible, man, that fight sequence, woo-wee. Yeah. But the problem is, I don't.
It's pretty good.
Fuck, man, I don't know, man. I don't know, but okay, there's 4 of them. Okay, you caught us. You caught us with 4.
but
but there will not be a 5th.
Ryan Reynolds too. I think Ryan Reynolds could play that because he has a Kurt Russellness inside of him where he can be physical, but he can also be funny.
He's almost too pretty though. Kurt Russell wasn't pretty. Like he wasn't like he didn't have a very like he was a handsome man, but he was a handsome man. Like he looked like he fucking wore like Stetson. Like Ryan Reynolds looks like a fucking cover boy for like Playgirl or something.
At the same time, like I mean, Deadpool I think is kind of the closest thing you would get to an old school John Carpenter style. It's not John Carpenterish at all. Don't get me wrong, but ballsy. You know what I mean? Like ballsy with like pushing the humor, pushing the stuff, and he was fugly shitting out.
Hugh Jackman. I mean, it's hard to say though because Hugh Jackman played Wolverine for such a long time. It's hard to really. Did he do? I mean, I know he did Prisoners. I mean, it was great, but it really wasn't. It was a good criminal psychology thriller, right?
Yeah.
But it wasn't like a full over-the-top action movie. Wolverine were all action, but they were comic book. You know, it's really hard. Like I don't know. Like other than the Wolverine portrayal, did he do any like standalone action films? Dude, Gerard Butler did great in a lot of fucking action movies.
He did a good job in there. So yeah, and more and more we talk about this, I'm thinking maybe I was thinking more like really young dudes, like really up and coming young dudes, but like there's actually a lot of people in there that you could place in a 90s badass action movie, and that could actually pull it off. Somebody said Chris Pratt. That's a pretty good one.
Yeah, dude. Jesus, we're fucking stupid. We wear a dunce cap for a week. Dude, I can't believe I disrespected that man. Nick Antelli says Carl Urban. I mean, what the fuck is wrong with us?
He'd be perfect.
What is wrong with us? Yeah. But they are older. Like, in our defense, these are already men that are aged beautifully, but they're in their 40s, like except for Cavill and Momoa, but they're in their 40s. Some of these guys, so
Yeah, Josh
they're
Brolin.
already on the back nine.
Josh Brolin says Shia. That's a good one too. Some people said Shia Labeouf. Shia LaBeouf's not going to be doing anything for a long while, I feel like.
I believe, you know what, I hear about this newcomer coming from the out of left field. It's insane. He was a carpenter, and then he got hired by George Lucas himself. Harrison Ford might make a little noise out there.
And there's also room for the everyman to come up, a Bruce Willis type, that's just got that.
I haven't seen one yet, though.
That's true too.
That's like all these guys that you guys are mentioning are great. They're perfect. They're really good, awesome action stars. But I have not yet, in my opinion, I've not seen an everyday dude has normal looks, medium, normal build, whatever. Not exactly ugly, but not exactly good looking. Just in the middle, handsome-ish. If you kind of look in a squint, but he's got the badass essentials to carry the movie, like a Kurt Russell. And I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it in a long time.
That's tough. So I think what we've learned here today, though, that's maybe it's not the actors, maybe it's more the movies that they're making these days. They just don't make them that way.
Really bad, Well, and again, it's probably because a lot of the movies that came out in the 90s and late 80s and things like even the 80s, just different time, different political climate, and they couldn't get away with doing certain things that they did back then. I'm not saying that they should repeat them, but I'm saying there's some things about it. I'm like, all right, it's fine to show a couple of bullets and a guy being like, I'm a fucking dude and I like hungry man. Fuck you. Like, it's okay.
Like Johnny and Cobra Kai, right? Johnny and Cobra Kai?
That's exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Kool-Aid Unleashed says, I love your name, dude. That's awesome. He says, do you think we'll get a Bruce Campbell cameo in Doctor Strange 2? That'd be fucking awesome. It's Sam Raimi, after all.
Yeah, I 100% think it. Yeah, if Sam Raimi's involved, I think that Bruce Campbell. That's the cool thing about Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi's relationship is that no matter what he does, he's always going to try to fucking put Bruce Campbell in any movie that he can.
Yeah.
And that's all. I mean, I really do think that Bruce Campbell is one of those dudes, man. He could have been like, you look at that guy and you see him in Evil Dead 2 and you're like, Jesus Christ, this dude is going to be like fucking phenomenal. He's going to be up there with the Stallones and Arnie and all those guys. And he just, for whatever reason, it just didn't happen. Like, I don't know why.
I agree with that a lot.
He had a good look.
Yeah, he should have, man. You're absolutely fucking right. I hope to see him in there too, for sure. Jeff Harris says, off topic, but did you guys hear about the new Batman rumor about Pattinson and Zoe? That is one of the news topics we're going to talk about today because it's fucking hilarious. After this rumor, I think we should put the set rumors to rest. LOL. Exactly what I said, Jeff. Might as well go into it right now. This shit's fucking hilarious. Real quick, just to catch up the super chats before we go into the Batman news. Dirk Jason Hall says, we got 300 in here. Mash that DM like button. Oh yeah, I was confused with the space and then the end. Yeah, almost 300 people in here. You gotta put your finger in the like button's asshole. That's what we say here. We don't say smash because that's just makes me want to rip off my own face when people say that on YouTube. Smash that like button. I'm gonna fucking throw myself out of a goddamn 5-story window.
It's pretty cringe 5,000. I think you're using the Game Genie to make it even worse when you say smash that like button.
Yeah,
and they always do stupid smile. They're like, smash that like button. Bow. It's like they always have an itch, like smash that like button. Pow! He's like, why?
My 5-year-old's obsessed with YouTube, dude. And the way that I like be listening to it, the way that they get them to do shit is hilarious. They're like, I'm gonna count to 5, and the first 200 people to subscribe win. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're all winners.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie. That's almost a genius tactic because I can't take it when someone gives me a countdown. I get all nervous titties. I don't want to like. It's like in a Mario Brothers stage when you hear that music goes bump 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 and it starts going faster. You're like, holy shit! And it's just a game though, but you feel like your life is going to end if you don't get to the end of the level.
Yeah, it's kind of genius. The kids they rush to subscribe. They're like, I did it, YouTuber. What do I get? And they're like, fucking nothing. I get a new houseboat in Maui. Let's move on to the next stupid video.
That's what I like.
Here's a prank video. Oh my god, my wife is pregnant. So anyways, I like cheese. And I like to eat cheese.
Provolone.
Oh, it's good.
Provolone is good though.
I like to eat it.
Sharp cheddar's all right. Provolone is the best.
I like taco mix.
I bet you do. Right in your ass.
Okay, so this news is fucking hilarious. On to the Batman stuff. Let me make this bigger. I don't know where. Let me just preface this, guys, with saying I don't know where the fuck this came from. Somebody tweeted it to me. It was kind of trending on the internet for a little bit. This random post, I don't know if it's Reddit or where, but this person claims to be working on the set of the Batman. Let me just read it to you as it said. I'm working on the set of the Batman. So in about a week or so, all media will go after him for what he and Zoe did on the set of the Batman last week. We, me and a lot of coworkers with Matt Reeves, caught Robert Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz having sex on the Batmobile prop. It's probably one of the worst things I've ever saw in my career now. Matt was so furious he interrupted them, and that's not all. Zoe took a pregnancy test, and she is pregnant, and everyone believes it's Pattinson's. Since October, Robert and Zoe started dating in secret. We knew about it as we saw them together after work. She recently divorced her husband, though. I'm purely disgusted by their act, both her and Pattinson. All I know is that Reeves is so furious he might not do the Batman 2 and 3 as he planned and let someone else direct. He literally told Pattinson, "You are the most entitled, narcissistic actor I've ever worked with. You go back to work. We finish filming in March, and then we are done. I don't ever want to work with you after this film." He even said he refuses to do reshoots if they will be needed. I don't know what they're going to do now, but they try to keep this situation on leash before media will make it official.
Hey man, like two things about this whole rant by this obviously Californian Southern boy. Southern California boy, because that's like exactly, you sound like a surfer that just got done with the high waves, bro.
That's what I was going for. Thank you.
It sounds like one. I wonder if Robert Pattinson said, "I wonder if I am the father tonight." That's one. I bet he did sing that song to her. And number two, as this person that wrote this article, have they ever seen a cock or a pair of boobies in their life, or even experienced the great joys of sex? Because it sounds like a straight virgin from a fucking chapel that just got released into the world and realizes that boys and girls like to lie on top of each other sometimes. So Jesus Cristo, what a fucking pile of shit. That's a huge pile of shit, Jim. And I'm ready for the weather. Like, that's awful and stupid.
This shit's fucking hilarious, dude. I laughed so hard when I first read that. And there's two things. Number one, I think we could put I think this is the pit. Like, we've reached the top of the mountain, and it is good. This makes me think that everything we've heard about Pattinson being a bitch on the set of Batman is all not true. I think somebody either on set or just in general, or maybe in the media, has an axe to grind, or maybe maybe they're Zoe Kravitz's ex-boyfriend or whatever. But dude, like, that number one, that has to be fucking fake. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my fucking life.
And it obviously is, dude. It sounds like it reads straight from the fucking the hot sheets, tabloids.
We got
like
discovered.
Like, that's the kind of person that would be like, this one time, let me just tell you how bad Robert Pattinson was. I was in Starbucks and this motherfucker crop dusted me. He crop dusted me, and I had to go to therapy for 2 years because Robert Pattinson crop dusted me on its way to get coffee. Jesus, why do we hire these people? Like, that's the kind of fucking bullshit that is. And if that was real, which is obviously a fake bullshit, I don't know what the guy was doing to get internet clout, or if he was like, I don't know. But it's the fact that any company like ran with it as an actual fact. Like,
no,
I would love.
They didn't. It was just going around on Twitter.
They were just okay. Good.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, if a company, like, I would imagine this, we got this covered, would like have a front fucking page news story about how Robert Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz scarred a young, camera grip on the set of the Batman. But it's so stupid, dude. Like, that is just like, it feels like one of those like dares that someone said, like, "Hey, I got an idea. Go on Twitter and act like a complete twat and see if people retweet it." Okay, I'll do that. And he did it.
What's even worse is imagining if that scene did happen. So, like, imagine if it did happen. Imagine if Pattinson and Kravitz are dating, and they were fucking banging on the bathroom floor. It wasn't me. Banging on the Batmobile. It wasn't me.
Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher, Cheetos.
But like, if they were fucking, if they were fucking on the Batmobile, imagine actually being upset about that. I'd be like, dude, high five, Zoe, high five. That's awesome. Good for you guys. Yeah. This guy's like, I'm disgusted by his behavior. Like, he really does. Like, I imagine him, that's why I read it that way. I imagine him being like a Southern California guy. And he's like, but that's not all that happened, dude. Later on, I went to Pizza Hut and there was a pube on my roni. There was a pube on my pepperoni, dude.
Regardless that it was my own pube.
There's a pube on this roni. Can you explain?
Still a pube on the Rona. On the Zaw. Yeah, dude. I don't know. Like, that. First off, I swear to God, and I know this is like telling, like, it's kind of telling tales out of school a little bit, but it's not really, because we're all friends here. But I swear, if Mike and I were in fucking like on the set and we walked in and that shit really happened, like we would back out real slow, but we would kind of like linger on it for a minute, like that sex scene, and they'd be like, "Dude, we saw their fucking tits, dude."
I saw Pattinson's balls.
We saw balls, and we saw Zoe Kravitz. We saw her boobies, dude.
I saw his taint. I saw his bat cave taint.
Hey, let's fucking like high five and then go have a beer, then jack off in separate rooms and then talk about it. I wouldn't go to Twitter and post about it.
Yeah. It's so stupid. It makes me really think that the weight rumors, like everything, was just a lie.
Well, I don't know. Like, well, the rumors about I know that there was that story. We got called out on that. Like, I don't know which London paper talked about it, that he was faking the COVID thing, and there was all this. Yeah. I don't know.
Which we didn't get called out. We said before, we're like, this comes from this website. Believe it if you want to. That's what they said. You know.
Well, the comments were like, you guys really need to check the facts, though, because obviously, like, the London paper is no different than we got this cover. Like, I don't live in London, bro.
We said we're not. We said it was probably not true. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, but people pick and choose what they want to hear as far as that's concerned. But yeah, it is what it is, man. But I'm glad. Like, that's a little bit of humor for us going forward, because like that's complete. Like if Vinny C sent a GIF earlier and was like, that is one big pile of shit. Like it's literally in Jurassic Park when he walks up on the pile of shit. That's what Twitter is anyway, and he's like taking like that's a big pile of shit.
It's even funnier when you mash it with the other rumors, because the rumor before was that that Reeves was so scared of COVID that he was wearing a giant puffer coat on set and giant goggles. You imagine him walking out in his goggles, he'd be like, "I'm wearing a fucking goddamn 6 North Face jackets. I'm sweating my balls off in here. I can't even see anything while I'm trying to direct this film, and you're spreading your butt juice all over the goddamn Batmobile while you guys. It smells like sex in here. Fuck."
If I saw Robert Pattinson walking out with a diaper jacket on, no less than 6 layers of diaper jackets and glasses, I'd be like, "Baby, no more crying. I get so excited." I was like, "You bringing that back, dog? 1995, 1997 hip hop. I like it." Like, I wouldn't have thought like he's trying to protect himself from the COVID.
Fucking insane, man. It's a wild story. Back to the other conversation we have. Connor Clary said Jason Statham needs to write director like Snatch. He was so charismatic thanks to the great writing and directing from Guy Ritchie. Yeah, and yeah, Statham can be charismatic. And I thought in Crank, where he had to be like fucking revved up the entire movie, I thought that was his best role, because he just kind of puts me to sleep as much as I do like the guy.
Jason Statham is a cool dude, man. I like. He's like a kind of guy that you definitely want to go have a brewski with, but you don't know if you really want to go play pickup basketball with him.
Yeah, you accidentally offend him.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, well, I don't know. I just like, I don't know, man. You kind of rubbed me the wrong way there, bro. I don't know. I had a good beer with you, but like, I don't know. You came off weird.
Yeah, all of a sudden it's like, what did you just say? Did you say Chipotle?
I was like, you got to get that dipper checked up, bro. I didn't say shit. I just asked if you wanted fucking buffalo dipping sauce for your nuggets.
Gypsy Warrior says, I see Pattinson stunt double caught COVID. Well, that's why he's a stunt double. That's why he's a stunt double. He caught it for Robert. He went out there and got it for his house.
He had to do that. He has to take the risks that Robert won't take. I'm gonna lick this toilet seat.
Go on, do it. Connor Clary says Robert Pat takes his method acting serious and saw Batman always had sexual tension with Batwoman, so he just had to get it out of the way. Hey, that's fair. You know, as long as it's 2 consensual adults, you're gonna fuck, and there's a Batmobile. So, like, I mean, who wouldn't have fucked on the Batmobile if you got the opportunity to fuck on the Batmobile? In the Batmobile. Don't
forget the classic Chris O'Donnell from Batman Forever. Just go on a little ride for my love machine, babies. That's how fucking Robert Pattinson feel if he's riding the Batmobile around. Like, hey Zoe, you wanna drive my clutch?
If it was me, you caught me just fucking the Batmobile. Like, no Catwoman even necessary. Like, you just walk in and you see it and you're like, I'm gonna put my dick somewhere in, around, or on this.
You'd have fucking caught me like fucking Miss Lippy. That one that serves the craft tables. Like, what the
fuck? Oh shit. Hey, guys, here's the deal. Don't be fucking on the Batmobile anymore, okay? We're trying to do a serious production here. We'll take a quick pee-pee break. We'll be right back. The second hour of the show, we've got more fun movie news. We're going to talk about the Snyder Cut trailer that came out, all that good shit. Fun times at Richmond High. And then in hour 3 at 10 p.m. Eastern, don't go anywhere, because we've got the director of Wrong Turn himself, Mike P. Nelson, on the show to talk shit with us. So we're excited.
I can't wait.
I'm excited. Nightmare Man said we missed his other super chat. Let me see if I can catch it real quick before we go.
By the way, when I swear to God, I was like, oh, at 10 p.m. we've got Mike P. Nelson. I'm like, what the fuck? That must be a printing error. There's no way at 10 p.m. we're gonna fill up 2 hours of shit. We're lucky enough to get through 1 hour with these nice people hanging around.
It's true. It's true. The Nightmare Man said, action heroes don't exist anymore. What happened? That's what we were talking about, man. It seems like they don't, but you guys actually kind of proved us wrong on that. You mentioned a lot of people. I'm like,
5 or 6. Yeah,
I would actually like to see that guy in an action movie. So
I don't like, the court will not move to strike it from the record, but the court does not recognize you. That's how I feel.
All right, guys, we'll be right back with the Snyder Cut, talking, lots of other good shit. I'm gonna show my asshole to everybody on live television.
It better be fucking waxed.
I spread my butt cheek as my concho.
Bleach it. Yeah, let me see it. Did you smell it?
Oh, I got my
Got them farts all out.
I got my farts out here. Hey, guys.
Farting muffins.
Welcome back to We Watched a Movie.
I'm Jay.
I'm Mike.
How you guys doing? You feeling good? I'm feeling like nice and sexy. Ready for a review for James L. Jackson.
El Petrano Superstar Taco Donor.
I love James Jackson's name, by the way. He sounds like he sounds like a character creation in like Mortal Kombat. I'm gonna make the baddest mother ever in Mortal Kombat that's gonna take down Liu Kang, Raiden, and Shang Tsung. I'm gonna call him James Jackson. Jackson? You look like a Jackson.
That's a strong name, man.
James
it's
Jackson.
A strong
it feels
name.
good.
That's what like the Godfather names his firstborn child, James Jackson. This, as we said, James Jackson. This is a Patreon review for James Jackson. We have a tier on our Patreon where you can request a review for us to do, and we do it for you. And that link is down below if you guys want to check that out. But thank you, James, for this. He's requested Darkness Falls.
Hey, man, I love you already. I love Darkness Falls, man. It's one of my faves. We're not talking about that time that you crawl into a girl's bed for the first time and you're a virgin, and it's Darkness Falls afterwards. We're talking about the film about the goddamn Tooth Fairy not just taking teeth, she's taking lives. I
play for keeps.
I got to tell you something real.
Shit.
Look, I know it's not like the most horrific movie of all time, but it falls in vein or in line with, for me, the same thing as 13 Ghosts or House of Haunted Hill remake.
I get that.
It's like this action Jackson, James Jackson, kind of roller coaster horror movie. It's not scary at all, not even a little bit, but it kind of reminds me, if Arnold Schwarzenegger was dropped in the middle of a horror movie and was taking down a Tooth Fairy bitch that was bent on destruction, I'd be like, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what I'm talking about.
I mean, there's no Arnold Schwarzenegger, though.
Yeah, but I like the guy.
Well, the guy, he's a good actor. By the way, rest in peace. He died back in 2007, which is crazy. Died in his sleep, actually, which is weird. But there's a whole bunch of stuff that you can look up on Wikipedia about that. We're not here to get into that. Okay, so the plot line's cool. The plot line is cool. This witch bitch back in the day.
Yeah.
She had a fucked up face. Her shit was burned, and she wore this Phantom of the Opera shit.
And no, it wasn't Liam Neeson. Dark man, don't talk right now.
She wore this Phantom of the Opera shit on her face, and then 2 kids went missing, and everybody's like, "That bitch is weird. Let's go after her." And as the story goes, they burned her, but she put a curse on everybody as they were burning her away. And don't wear metal T-shirts if you live in Arkansas. It does not end well for you. Everybody will think you're a fucking Satanist, and then next thing you know, you're on trial. It happens.
The story is really basic. It's really easy to follow. It's only an hour and 25 minutes, but I remember fondly going to the theater and finally being able to enjoy a horror movie without shitting my pants at everything that was going to scare me around the corner, because I started watching it. It was kind of like the same feeling I had when I watched Cabin in the Woods. It kind of had this, it flipped itself up on the head, and I'm like, oh my god, this is not fucking scary at all. This is some rock and roll shit. I'm having a great fucking time, Jim. Let's keep watching. And then I finally got to experience for just a second what it's like to be you, or what it's like to be any horror fan that actually wants to be scared. And I was like, this is amazing. It's no wonder that you fuckers are addicted to it.
That's like the most back fucking woods ass horror review ever. It's like, don't worry guys, it's not scary. You're gonna love this horror movie.
It's not really a horror. Look, it's listed as a horror movie. It's not really back. It's one of those films that you're not going to get terrified if you watch it. You could literally let your 13-year-old or 12-year-old watch this and have a great time.
It's a good movie to introduce children.
Yeah, it's about children that's losing their teeth.
We watched it with the kids last Halloween and watched it again here. But yeah, this lady, she becomes the Tooth Fairy. She used to give She was notorious for giving the children money.
Notorious.
For giving she would give kids money, and once they burned her away, she's like, I'll take the sweets I gave you and I'll give you a fucking pile of fuck you.
Y'all are so fucked.
So she put a curse on everybody that like when anyone actually saw her while she was giving them the money as the Tooth Fairy, then she would fuck their lives up. And that's what she did. This little kid. The opening of the movie is pretty cool. They do that retread back into the old witch days.
Shit was scary.
That was cool.
That jumped me a little bit.
They laid the groundwork for a really cool story, and it's the Tooth Fairy. Now you got to be scared of the Tooth Fairy. That's a genius idea right there. But once you get settled in, like you said, it's a mid-2000s horror movie, and you feel it.
Makes sense.
You feel it. And there's good things about a mid-2000s horror movie. You got a nice rock and roll soundtrack going on there, some like grunge music, some new metal shit going on.
Yeah,
it feels to it.
And also the fact that every time I saw her, like the Tooth Fairy, when she would flash around and she would be on the screen, I would think of Annie Lennox for some reason, like doobie doobie doop doop doo. You know what I'm talking about? Like, if for some reason that song popped in my head and she just wasn't scary afterwards. She was this old burned bitch that no one that people treated like shit. Like, fuck them assholes, kill it. Because I kind of felt bad for her, because if you know that story, that the very beginning of the movie when they explain what happened to her, like those little bastard kids turned her in and told her that she did all this bad stuff. So fuck them. It's almost like a darkly fantasy rather than a horror movie. I would almost put it in a Brothers Grimm tale where it's supposed to be like a horror movie, but it's really not. It's just more of a dark fantasy film. And again, the main guy in it, and the little kid, actually, the little kid was fucking good. I like the little kid. If you put me in the dark, she'll get me.
I didn't actually think the kid was that good.
I liked it.
But to be fair, the acting's not that bad in the movie. But what ends up happening is the first scene's pretty badass. If you haven't seen it, won't give away too many spoilers here. There's not a lot to really give away. I mean, it's a pretty goddamn simple movie.
Yeah.
But the witch shows up, and he sees her, and she takes his mom. And that's a pretty creepy scene when he's sitting in the bathtub and he's watching his mom get fucking fucked by this witch in the corner. Yeah. You know what I mean? He's like, oh shit,
having all sorts of sex.
But he grows up, and like everybody in the town thinks he murdered his mom, so he gets cast away wherever he goes to mental institution. He comes back. The first girl that slipped him a little bit of tongue when they were young, she's like, the first time shouldn't taste like blood. I'm like, no shit, girl. To give some context here, he just lost a tooth, and she kisses him.
Yeah, and she did it. It wasn't like he leaned in.
She went in for seconds, and then she's like, the first time shouldn't taste like blood. I'm like, you kissed me.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, you know who that was? That was a little girl from Ghost Ship.
That makes fucking sense. That makes a lot of sense.
She was in Ghost Ship, and she was also in the remake of Let the Right One In.
You wait until he grows up and he comes back to town, because that same girl's all grown up now, and now her kid is having the same problems he had, where he's scared of the dark, he's seeing shit, weird shit's happening to him. So you got all these doctors trying to do studies on him. They're treating him just like him. She calls him for help. He comes back to town. The town says, no says I, you killed your mom, get the fuck out of here. And it culminates in one of the cool scenes of the movie, because he's at a bar drinking. He's sitting there, and some asshole patron of the bar.
I thought they locked you up for killing your mama.
Motherfucker looks like David Bakhtiari from the Packers. Gets up and he gets in his face and kicks him out of the bar. That guy ends up dead. And all of a sudden, oh, you murdered this guy too. So now it's like nobody believes me. The cops are after me. But also every time the lights go out, this fucking bitch pops down from the ceilings like, gooby, gooby, gooby. And that's all she does though.
Give me your teeth.
That's all that.
I got no teeth.
That's the only thing that bothers me about the movie. She despite them almost doing nothing to her appearance, she literally looks like she bought a secondhand thrift store Scream outfit that's fucking tearing apart at the seams, like the shit your mom would send you to school in 6th grade and be like, just go on.
You have no choice but to wear that.
Her shit's all ripped up and bad looking, and then she has a Phantom of the Opera mask. That's the Oogie Boogies.
Yeah, well,
that's it.
I don't know.
It's not scary.
I just like the action scenes in it. I just like that it was full on action horror, and that's what I like. It's fully action horror. There's no, like I said, there's no real scares in it. Maybe the very beginning of the movie you might get a little like tickle in your taint a little bit, but not much. I mean, you're just scratched away. But overall, it's just an action movie. And I'd like to do one of the best fucking things in that movie, like for me, and I love it so much because it reminds me of what we always wanted in I think it was Halloween 5. The police station scene where she fucks those cops up.
That is cool.
Dude, that is some of the best shit I've ever seen. And when she's like all like, whoa, and then when he's shooting her, when the guy's shooting her, she's like, and she's doing Matrix shit on him. I'm like, that shit, that reminded me of like Batman stuff. Like it looks good as shit. Like, so it was shot really well. It had a great soundtrack that you mentioned before. But I really liked the main character. I didn't think he was like he's obviously not Academy Award winning or anything like that, but he was good enough and solid enough to where I related to him and I got what he was going through. The little kid I liked and the sister I thought were good. I thought those three actually had good chemistry, and I think they carried the movie really well. And the action sequences, man, like I think they made
White Wonderland out there.
That fucking sucks. I don't want it anymore, Jim.
Yeah, apparently we're in the bullseye. I never miss a section of the storm,
The suck zone.
the suck zone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hopefully we keep power. That would suck.
yeah. If poor Mike Nelson gets on, or and he's like, anyway, yeah, my favorite.
God, that would suck so much, man. But yeah, so thank you for allowing us a break to relieve our bladders in toiletries nations. We're finally going to talk about the Snyder Cut trailer that came out. Let me make sure we didn't miss any super chats here. We did not, which is nice. Very good. Hey, I see we got Michael Trapson, got the Merkins in here.
Woo-wee.
What's up, good looking sons of bitches?
What you all fuckers doing, huh?
Okay, I don't have an actual clip for that. So the Snyder Cut trailer. I know a lot of people want us to do a reaction to it, but we knew that we weren't going to be filming because of everything going on for a few days. So we didn't get to do a trailer reaction to it. So we're going to talk about it now. It was fucking awesome.
Yeah, man. Look, it's so I get really protective over it. I was talking to Cody, my brother, the other day, and he was like, "Dude, you seen it?" I'm like, "No, I haven't seen it." So we watched it together. And he was like, dude, I don't like the fact that people that aren't in the know. They're like, dude, it's the same. Why do I give a shit? It's the same movie. It's totally not the same movie. I watched that trailer and I'm like, what the hell is this magical treasure from fucking Coney Island? I like this. Like the black suit, the fucking red angry eyes. Can we get an amen for Darkseid being in it along with the redesigned fucking Steppenwolf? Can we say thank God for Zack Snyder's version of this? It is a completely different movie than what I'm not Zack Snyder and I'm going to make my own movie. Whedon did. So this is like when you go from playing with Legos and you fucking pick up some goddamn Robo Blocks on a video game. It's just not the same, but it's so much better. It's just so much more interactive, dude. And you could tell that this is made from Zack Snyder as a fan of the DC lore and the characters that he's portraying versus a guy that got hired to do a job and finish another guy's work. Yeah. It's fucking amazing, dude.
Yeah, man. I fucking loved it. I do see, when I watched the trailer, I do see shots that were in the other movie too. But for people to say that it's the same movie, it's a fact that it's not, based purely on running time alone. The first movie was 2 hours, 20 minutes, something like that. That's not the exact number. And this is going to be 4 hours long. By just that stat alone, this movie is 4 hours fucking longer. That's number one. And that one just puts that baby to bed right now. It puts that stupid ass baby to bed. It does. It's dumb.
Suck on your thumb.
Yeah.
Suck on.
Yeah. Yeah. But I was thinking of that manager from Employee of the Month where they're like, maybe we should do this. He's like, yeah. But A, that puts that to bed immediately. And B, Zack Snyder himself has said that he's not using an ounce of anything that Joss Whedon shot. When Joss Whedon came in, they did a bunch of new shit. They changed the movie entirely, and they didn't use a bunch of shit that Snyder had filmed, plus the extra 2 hours. Now, there was a story that came out, and if you're wondering, well, they didn't reshoot anything. They didn't. They reshot, and they came out and they said, we literally only reshot one scene. And I'm imagining that has to be the Joker scene, which is at the end of the trailer when you're in the nightmare sequence.
Beautiful.
And Joker turns around and he says, we live in a society, which I know people freaked out about. I don't get the whole thing about the we live in a society thing. It's like a meme thing.
Somebody actually explained it on the internet. I'm like, yeah, I don't have enough time to read that. I'm playing JRPGs right now, so I'm just looking for walkthroughs. So, but yeah, it has some significance. I don't know what it is. I don't fucking know, but it's cool. I mean, he looked badass. Jared Leto looked like the Joker that we should have got in Suicide Squad.
And his voice was really good too. When he said Batman, is like Batman. Batman.
Hey man, I'll tell you what, it's gotta be bittersweet for Jared Leto. Because it's I'm really I'm getting such fan appreciation for my portrayal of Joker now with this trailer. And they get to see me in the full version of the Joker that I had in my mind when I was cast. But it's only because Zack Snyder got to come back and make his movie, and it's his last one appearance. I don't know. It's got to be bittersweet though. It's fucking awesome. And I hope what they do is they scrub that shit off his fucking face, those goddamn crayon tattoos, and get back to this.
Yeah.
And the Suicide Squad 2.
Yeah, it's weird because the tattoos on the face, we always hated them. The second they showed him God, the Joker would never get damage tattooed across his forehead. That just seems like that's way too on the nose for Joker to ever do. To be fair, David Ayer just, that's his style. Like that's his style. Like, I mean, that's what he does. He does that stuff with his characters. Like if you watch Into Watch, like a lot of gangster stuff, a lot of that stuff, that's his style, and that's fine. We didn't like that Joker. We didn't like that version of Joker. But Jared Leto was going with the direction that he was given. Now, so I saw somebody ask where the tattoos go. Well, this is his only scene, I think, in the movie is going to be during the nightmare sequence, which is a completely different version of it. So, like, whether it's in the past, the future, however that shit goes, that's why he doesn't have the tattoos, and he looks totally different.
Like an alternate reality from what we got. Like, so if the Flashpoint thing, which I'm sure will explain the nightmare sequence anyway, like it'll be a possibility of that never happened. I think it's so fucking cool, man. There's so many mind twisting type of adventures that are getting ready to happen with the DC universe. I can't fucking wait. And the thing about Jared Leto is we just reviewed that movie with The Little Things, and he was great in it.
Yeah.
Like he was the guy that stole the movie, and exactly the way that he portrayed that slimy, scuzzy fucking skank guy was exactly what I thought they were going to go with. And when he was the Joker, and I'm like, you know what? He may not have been stacked up with Joaquin Phoenix and Heath Ledger as the best Joker of all time, but he would have been unique and stood out on his own. And it sucks, man, that we got more of a cartoony version of him that like is in love with Harley Quinn, and he's like this gangsta boys for life shit. I'm like, you know what? I'm just not down with that. It just doesn't work for Joker. If you're going to make a separate movie where it's like this crackhead that hangs out in the 7-Eleven alleyway that wants to fucking hit on girls, that's the perfect Joker for it. But yeah, man, I'm really happy for Jared Leto. I really am. And Jared Leto's a douchebag in real life. I know that he is. He said a lot of stupid shit, and he's acted like an asshole in a lot of ways, but I'm happy for him, dude, because I've always thought that he's a really good actor. And I think that he actually was listed as one of our dream casting as Jokers way back in the day.
Yeah, he really was. And apart from that, man, like, okay, so let me ask you this. When Superman has the black suit on and he turns in that fucking, it's my background on my computer now. I loved it so much. He looks so goddamn good. But when he turns around, he's got the black suit on and he shoots the lasers. Is that the same scene from the Whedon version where he's standing next to the statue and he's fighting them and he gets pissed and goes to shoot?
I thought that too. I think that's actually I think he's fighting Darkseid at that point. I think I'm not sorry, not Darkseid, Steppenwolf. I think he's actually fighting Steppenwolf. You know, when he was like, it looks like this guy's giving you a hard time. Like, you know, that part. I think it's that moment, but it's probably got a lot more gravitas to it in that scene with the black suit.
See,
I don't think it's
I just thought it was the exact same scene but instead of him coming out of the grave shirtless and naked, he comes out with the black suit on. And for some weird fucking reason, Josh Whedon was like, no, I don't want the black suit. It's black. It's dangerous. It's mean. Get it out. I like happy things. Like cheating on my wife and messing with girls on the set of Buffy. That was the voice.
You feel like one of the worst 70s sitcom shows I've ever but it's good. I'm thinking I would have watched it.
You lost the scholarship, you can't go.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I don't know. I think that, well, when he got resurrected, unless they do the resurrection scene completely different, when he got resurrected, he was just in a suit. So he came out with his shirt off, you know, bearing those spectacular pectoral muscles and abs.
They look good.
And I feel like he wasn't buried in the black Superman suit. I feel like he was just buried in regular, you know, funeral clothes, and he rose up out of the grave, and that's what it was. Yeah. Unless they're going to do a different resurrection where but the whole thing with the black suit is like it was a healing suit. In the comic books, Kal-El was put in that black suit to heal him as he was fighting and getting better. So I don't know how they're going to do it. It might be a completely different resurrection scene, but the moment where he's having his eyes flash and he's have those laser beams, I think he's fighting Steppenwolf in that moment.
That would be cool too. I'd rather have that because I'd rather it be a newer moment than the moment that we got, because it felt like the scene where he's fighting everybody. Even though I did like that scene, I'm not gonna just lie. I like the scene where he's fighting the Justice League when he comes first out of the grave. But you've also got the scene where his knuckles down and like that those rocks are forming around him. I think you're gonna get a lot more of the resurrection than you got that time around. The shot of Wonder Woman upside down flipping, cutting that motherfucker is just sick as shit, dude.
I'm really happy that they're gonna give more of a backstory and relationship expansion with Cyborg and his dad. That's fucking well deserved and needed. And then they're also going to include the flash sequence when he sees Iris West, when he bursts through the plate glass window to save her. That's a huge moment, and that looked badass in the trailers, and we never got. So that's been completed. That's going to look amazing. Yeah, man. When you watch the entire trailer and then you hear what Zack Snyder's talking about and all this stuff, and the fact that he's never seen the Joss Whedon cut ever. It's a completely different fucking movie. It's 100%. I would say 95% to 96% different.
Yeah.
There might be a couple leftover scenes, but
Darkseid alone, right? Like, was he wasn't in the movie at all, right?
Yeah.
Did I say Darkseid? Darkseid, my
Darkseid.
Darkseid.
Only Rotten Jeremy's come.
Come get my Darkseid. It's not light
Rotten
seed.
Jeremy's come. It's like,
It's
yeah,
dark.
you just blasted your Darkseid in me.
I'm gonna plant black emo plants with my Darkseid. But no, Darkseid. Sorry, the way it's spelled fucks me up all the time. But like, I don't think he was. Well, he wasn't in Justice League like at all, right?
No, that was another thing they cut out. The fact that Darkseid was apparently in the script, like he had a pretty significant role in the idea that it's like the background Thanos in the Marvel MCU. Like he's the guy that's controlling everything. Like, it's all going to be gearing up to take down Darkseid, and that motherfucker's badass, dude. Goddamn, with those apocalypse beams, woo-wee, give it to me.
Yes.
But yeah, you got Steppenwolf, and by the way, the design on Steppenwolf 100% better, way cooler and intimidating looking than he was in that fucking. I don't know what that shit was. Like, that looked like some Final Fantasy VI shit.
It looks like one of Santa's elves, or one of Santa's reindeer, put on the mask.
It looked like Disney was trying to expand out to be a little bit more risque, and then they pulled it back. But yeah, and I saw someone else. I'm not the one that noticed this in the trailer, so props to whoever noticed it. They said that if you look closely, Steppenwolf's armor, or I guess they'd follow this, Steppenwolf's armor actually reacts. It's alive. It reacts to the environment that it's in, either getting more spiky or less so or whatever. So it's like an organism on his body, like a venom suit. It's pretty fucking cool.
Hey, we better get I'll tell you this, Jay. We better get a fucking screener for that shit when it comes out for review. As much dick as we've sucked.
Yeah, I do. We've tickled the balls constantly and gurgled those balls for years.
I'm gonna be fucking pissed, dude.
Hey man, I'll tell you what. No, I think Zack Snyder appreciates probably what we're doing as far as like what the grassroots movement that we were talking about. Believe in Zack Snyder from our little squirrel hole, but he's probably one of that guys. He's sitting back in the shadows, being like, "Good job, but you will never see me, and you will never know me." And then he just fades into the back. I don't blame him either. But yeah, and I saw somebody's like, I think that Jay and Mike are secretly hardcore DC fanboys. I'm fanboys of all comic book movies, man. Yeah. I just think that DC has gotten a really bad cut over the years, man. I think that they have gotten unfairly treated by fans, not just fans of DC, but just by fans of comic books in general. I feel like if you're gonna give Marvel a pass on every, dude, Captain America: The First Avenger, I enjoyed it. It sucked. It wasn't that good of a movie. It didn't suck, but it was a mediocre movie at best. Yeah. Thor 2 was dog shit. It was complete dog shit. Age of Ultron, mediocre movie. Doctor Strange, I enjoyed it, but a lot of people didn't enjoy it. But you know what? People give it passes all the time because it's Marvel. Yeah. I feel like if DC farts wrong, they're like, fuck them. They don't know what they're doing. Yeah. Superman should have red underwear outside his blue pants.
The fact that Zack Snyder's name alone is so divisive. And then you go like, oh man, you either hate or love Zack Snyder. And it doesn't even feel anymore like it has anything to do with his actual fucking movies. It's like him as a person. And it's like the guy never did anything wrong to fucking anybody. You know what I mean? It's a redemption story. And I won't go into it because I know I've said it 1,000 times. He had to leave the set because he lost a child, man. And then he's come back and all he wants to do is make his movie. And so many people want to see his movie gets made. It's a story of not redemption because he didn't do anything wrong, but it's an amazing story. Like, I don't know how you don't root for that guy, even if you don't like his movies. I don't see why the general perception is, hey, I don't like that guy's movies, but good for him. I'm glad to see he got his movie made. Instead, like, his name alone is like, I fucking hate Zack Snyder. You know, like, why?
I've never understood. Neither of you, like Mike and I, for years on the channel have always defended Zack Snyder's Man of Steel. I've never. That's where it seems the vitriol started, like with Man of Steel. Like, he didn't make it exactly like the Ma and Pa Clark Kent that we all thought it was gonna be a Christopher Reeve ripoff, and it was a different story. I feel like it brought the audience in more with Kal-El, which is a hard character to tell if you think about it, like how to make him accessible for the audience. Like, this is a good-looking guy. He could do anything he fucking wants, and he has a great job and a good-looking woman. Like, what the fuck is wrong? Like, I don't know why do I want to root for this guy? It's just not like in my nature. But he was able to bring him down to the dirt and grime and make him a relatable kind of guy. And, we all feel like outsiders are leftovers sometimes, and that's exactly how his portrayal of Clark Kent was. Now, and people bitched about it. They're like, oh, it's too dark. It's too scary. Like, I don't like that. They tried to do a ripoff of Christopher Reeve in Brandon Ruth with Superman Returns, and it fucking tanked. You know what people said? The number one complaint: it's boring as shit. They're like, it's boring. It's been done before. There's nothing new here. Boring, boring, boring. The only highlight of that movie was the airplane when he catches the airplane, which is fucking great. That was an awesome scene. But everything else was just like copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste. And Bryan Singer's a good director, but it's like that's what fans wanted. They got the underwear on the outside of the fucking suit, and it still bombed. So I don't know what I don't get it, man. I feel like people were talking shit on Zack Snyder since Dawn of the Dead remake.
I just don't understand it, man. Like, the guy never did anything to anybody. Like, if you don't like his movies, you don't like his movies. It's fine to say, but like, oh god, Zack Snyder. It's just it's weird to me. John Strunk says Smallville Lex should have been in BVS, and I'm surprised someone beat Christopher Reeve's Superman. And have you ever watched Bruce Campbell's Briscoe County Jr.?
No, on the Bruce Campbell, I would have been fine with the Lex Luthor from Smallville being in BVS. I think he was actually a really good Lex Luthor. I think he was awesome as Lex Luthor.
He's got a good podcast.
Yeah, dude, he has a great podcast. And then, what was the other question?
He said, and I'm surprised someone beat Christopher Reeve's Superman.
Yeah, you're talking about the Sun God?
Oh,
now I am Father. I am Father. Yeah, that was pretty weird. But you know, look, the Christopher Reeve movies were great, and we love them, and they always have a place in our hearts and farts. But you know, look, you're moving into the 21st century. You gotta change some things up. You can't just keep doing the same thing. And Christopher Reeve was awesome with what he did, but you can't replicate that. Like what he did in that fucking spandex suit with the underwear on top of the clothes, you can't replicate it.
I mean, Lois.
It was fucking perfect, man. Like, you just gotta leave it alone.
Mm-hmm. Gypsy Warrior says, I'd be surprised if there was no more Snyder. Here's my take on that, man. Like, and obviously he's going to do more stuff. You just mean DC wise, but and Zack Snyder came out just recently and he's like, look, here's where it stands. There's no plans for me to currently do anything else after this movie. There's no talks with Warner Brothers. There's nothing. I'm pretty sure that they're done with me after this one. But that being said,
this movie makes a goddamn metric ton of money.
Yeah,
which I think we should all fucking watch. He makes.
Well, it'll be hard for it to make money because the market's fucked up. The market's really fucked up with HBO Max. And I love HBO Max because it feels like they're more into movies than other streaming services are. Other streaming services like want to pump out their original shows and stuff like that. Yeah. HBO Max, I really, really like. I got a hard on for the service because they do a lot more movies, like the Matrix trilogy, the Crow trilogy. They got
They're busy boys.
Yeah, they're a lot more headline toward movies, and I enjoy that. That's why I like HBO Max so much. That being said, they're fucking up their international distribution. Zack Snyder just came out and said, he was like, they're fucking it up. Basically, there's so many countries that can't get HBO Max that aren't going to be able to watch the Snyder Cut when it comes out. So they're going to get it like one country will get it 2 months later. Another country will get it 6 months later. There's some countries that won't get it until months later. And you watch when this comes out, even if it's a huge fucking success and the movie is critically, I don't know if anything Zack Snyder does will be critically acclaimed at this point.
It'll never be critically acclaimed.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. But
well, maybe I guess 300 was critically acclaimed. I think people did like 300.
But it was before all this nonsense, like, oh, it's DC, it's gotta suck. But like, I feel like he's going to come out and he's going to make the movie for the fans like he always has. And then the people on the outside that want him to just do Marvel shit they're going to say the same shit. They're going to tank it. Whatever's going to happen. Then they're going to point to, oh, it didn't make this much money. Oh, it only got, look how many more views WandaVision got than this, when it's not in half of the fucking world like WandaVision is all over the place. And that's on HBO Max. That's on Warner Brothers. Not his fault. But you wait and see. They'll be shitting on him for it.
I didn't know. I actually didn't know that HBO Max wasn't a global, that people anywhere could download it. That's
a slow rollout. Yeah.
Yeah, but it is what it is. But yeah, dude, look, Zack Snyder has to. I would love, or Mike and I both would love to have Zack Snyder on the show just to talk to him about that, because I'll tell you something about Zack Snyder too, is that he seems like a genuine guy. He seems like he actually gives a fuck about what the fans think, and to give them the best possible movie of the characters that they want to see on the big screen. And I feel like he would be a joy to talk to. The problem with him is maybe he's not, I don't know, maybe he's not falling in line. He's not doing the cookie cutter formula that MCU is doing. And therefore, if he does anything different, fuck you. Like, if you're going to go outside the bubble, then fuck you. You're not a follower. You're not a conformist. Like, maybe that's what it is. Maybe Zack Snyder refuses to bend the knee and just copy and paste what MCU has done over the years. Yeah. And that's why people hate it. And again, it's not robbing. I am not saying a goddamn word against MCU. I think MCU and Kevin Feige and that whole crew over there have done an amazing job with that whole with the building, the world building. But I mean, I don't want to have like, look, if I go to a donut shop, bitch, I want vanilla and chocolate icing. Like I want both. I don't want the same flavor over and over again. And I feel like he's been unfairly treated in the media because he refuses to. I don't know. It's the same thing about Todd McFarlane. We were talking about McFarlane. Like when we interviewed Alan McElroy, he was the same thing. He was the same guy that was like, I'm not going to do what fucking DC and what Marvel is doing right now. I want to make my own guy. He's from hell. His name's Al Simmons. He made a deal with Malbolgia, the devil, and he wants to come back see his wife. It's not a fucking kitty. It's not going to be on the Disney streets. And people were like giving him a hard time for it. So I don't know.
He's been made a poster boy for this movement, and like I'm not even sure what the movement is.
Zack Snyder?
Yeah, he's the poster boy for all. He's like a lightning rod for controversy, and the guy hasn't done a fucking thing wrong except for just trying to make the movies he likes to make.
I don't know if there was a tweet or if he said something on Facebook or some other shit. Like if that was the case and it was something that was coming back and biting him in the ass, like
nothing.
I don't know that. I don't know that. But I mean, James Gunn had the issue that he had. Which again, if somebody says something 25 fucking years ago and then you pull it out and like use it as a revolver to shoot them in the head and kind of end their career, you're a fucking idiot, need a life.
Yeah.
But my point being is like, I don't know if he did that or not. I haven't heard anything. Like you said, you didn't hear anything. So if it's just, I think it's just, he's like, he has a very punchable face and I don't like him. Like that's, that's it. I guess that's it.
I guess like because I think it's maybe the Snyder Cut movement. People were so gung ho about it, and then you got people like trying to push them down, and then the small people that were just wanting to see their movie actually won, and I think that pissed off a lot of media members who were trying to tell you how it was. We've covered it a bunch, but
you know what? If somebody came to me and said, "Hey, replace fucking Zack Snyder as the leader of the DC universe because of he makes dark toned visions of these beloved characters," I would say, go fuck yourself. Or B, because he had said something 20 years ago that was inappropriate, I'd say, fuck you. And then if it was C, I just don't like him, I'd be like, well, then you need to know. Like, see, that's what I'm saying. There's got to be three. Unless there's a conspiracy and people are covering shit up for him, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how the guy's got not more sympathy.
Yeah.
I mean, if you bury your own kid, and you have to deal with that in the middle of making your opus, your magnus opus with Justice League, and you lock up the set. You hope in good hands with Joss Whedon, and then it gets fucking butt fucked to the airplane in San Diego, and then you come back and people are like, "Oh, is there a Zack Snyder cut?" And you're like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, I don't want to see it."
Yeah.
Oh, but then you got, I don't know, man. Like it's fucking Jesus Christ. You're talking about one of the most hated guys in Hollywood for no fucking reason. It's that guy.
Exactly, dude. Like you said it perfectly when you said, I don't know why there's not more sympathy for him. And that's exactly it. Like, I mean, if you don't like his movies, like I no qualms with you. Like if you're like, hey, I don't like his style. I don't like what he does with his movies. Fine. That's cool. That's fine. But how do you not as a human being look at that story and go, hey, I'm not going to watch it. Don't give a fuck. Catch me watching some other shit, but good for that guy. Hey, that's cool. Instead, it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, people like blow their o-holes out their pants.
Yeah,
when they hear the name. I don't know. Like, and look, somebody was saying, has he been out in the news and he has said anything like anti-cancel culture? And
Nothing.
I don't think he said a goddamn word. Like, you know what? He's one of those smart people. Which again, I fucking said this 100 times. If you work in Hollywood. Whatever your beliefs are in the political world, keep it to your fucking self and don't fucking get on Twitter and rant or on Instagram and rant about it. Because that's going to be, listen, you can have free speech, which I'm 100% for, but there are consequences for your actions. If you work for a company and you're representing that company and they say, don't fucking do that, and you still do it and you get fired. I mean, it's the same thing. If I used to work at CVS. If I got a megaphone and stood up in the middle of the fucking pharmacy and said, "Wear a mask, you motherfuckers," guess what? They're gonna fire me right away.
Yeah.
Like, that's just the way that it works. But I like again, I don't think that Zack Snyder's even been in that conversation.
He's not. He's really not. But I agree with you on that. By the way, it's like someone made a really great tweet the other day talking about the Gina Carano stuff and all that stuff like that, and they were like, "Hey, she's not being canceled. It's called like you say shit." It has consequences. No one's telling you can't say it. You can say whatever the fuck you want. But if someone chooses to employ you and then you say a bunch of dumb shit and they decide that they want to fire you because you're dumb shit, then that's just called a consequence. You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. You know what I mean?
I'm glad you brought that up because that's 100%. Like when I was taking a poopy on the toilet earlier. I was reading a little bit more in the Gina Carino thing, and I like Gina Carino. I liked her character on The Mandalorian a lot, and I think that she seems like a very nice person. And even Dana White said, leave Gina alone. You know, the guy that wrote the article is a douchebag. He made it all about himself. I agree with that 100% because the guy did make it all about himself. I read the article. The guy was like, me, I. I'm a Jewish guy, and I'm offended. He's not speaking for the whole fucking thing. By the way, this is the same reporter that got banned from UFC events for being an asshole by Dana White. My point being is, like, here's the thing: what happened with Gina Carino. Pedro Pascal did say some stupid shit too. Pedro Pascal was warned to stop. Pedro Pascal stopped because he worked for this company, Lucasfilms, who did not want to be associated with inflammatory remarks at all. Gina Carino, God bless her, I like her. She's a cool girl, whatever. She made a really bad, stupid mistake. She was warned 3 fucking times. 3 times by the company. And that's, look, it's an at-will state. It's an at-will fucking thing.
Yep.
If you're hired by a company and you are, by extension, a representative of that company, you know, you cannot be blasting your mouth and running your fucking gums on social media about whatever you, left or right. I don't give a fuck. Just, if you want to rant and rave, do it in the privacy of your home with your friends and family off fucking Facebook like they did in the 80s when there was no fucking social media. Like, don't get on there. And especially, by the way, if your employer warns you and they're like, hey, man, you got to stop that shit. Yeah. If it was me, if I owned that company, if it was my money, and I'm talking about this as strict corporate as I get, and this is not left or right, but it's my fucking money and you're fucking it up because you want to run your goddamn mouth, I would say you get 1 warning, and if you run your mouth again, you're fucking fired because you could cost me millions. That's the way it works.
Yeah, you got to take emotion out of it. Like, it's very, very simple. The problem with cancel culture isn't her getting fired from her job because they told her not to say something. She said it. She got fired. The problem with cancel culture is she's probably going to get, for the rest of her life, nothing but hate tweets and hate emails and people shitting on her and people like trying to like, it's not good enough that you lost your job. I want to watch you literally brought out into town square and lit on fire. It's like people take it too fucking far. Like, too okay. Much, but at the same time, don't ask me for sympathy because you lost your job, because if I did that shit, I lose my fucking job too. You know what I mean?
100%. Like, again, it has nothing to do with politics. Like, if you and I, okay, for example, I mean, this is a very basic level, okay? Very basic level. We're not Lucasfilm. We're not Disney. But Mike and I, we do our best with this channel. That's why we don't talk about politics or put anything on our personal Facebook or whatever, Instagram, Twitter. I don't have any of that stuff. But if I did, I would never put anything political on there because I don't want to fucking make anybody feel uncomfortable on either side of the spectrum. And it also puts us, like the channel itself, it puts us at a bad position.
Yeah.
Like, if one of us were sitting there preaching fuck Trump or fuck Biden, it's going to put a problem on the whole thing. And it's just better not to talk about that unless you're going to do it with your friends and family off fucking social media. And I feel like somebody should have told Gina Carino the same thing. And again, I loved her character. I think that she is a sweet person. I've seen her interviews. She is. Did she make a mistake? Yes, absolutely. I get what she was trying to say? I did. But it was a terrible wording of what she was trying to say, and she should never have done it. Yep. And if you've been warned 3 fucking times and you chose to ignore each warning and you got fired, man, I mean, you got to eat the crow.
Hey,
like, you got to eat it.
Perfectly explained. I think no one told you you're not allowed to say it. But if you do say it, then don't ask me to feel sorry for you if you get fired because they asked you not to say it. No one's no one's saying, hey, you don't have the right to say this. You have the right to say it.
100%.
I have the right to fucking fire you for it. And that's just the way it goes. I mean, that's business. That's life. You know, that's just
And I feel, God, man, there's so much more you could say on it. But look, and we're against woke shit. Like, I don't like that stuff. I don't like any of that stuff. But if it was pretty much obvious, like, the company warns you several times, and they want to bring up Pedro Pascal. And I've seen some people that are clickbaiting on YouTube putting this shit out there. Oh, Pedro Pascal was kept, and she was. It's not like that. Pedro Pascal was warned. I saw his tweet too, and it was stupid. It was fucking moronic. He should never have made that. He was warned, and guess what? He was like, I want to keep making fucking money, so I'm going to stop doing that. That's all it would take for me. If my employer that was paying me millions of dollars said, hey, man, cut it the fuck out, I'd be like, I'm sorry. I'll never do it again.
Exactly.
Like, that's it. Like, that's
simple.
all you got to do. That's all you got to do. And then, I know that she's coming out now and saying they prepared her a public apology that they wanted her to read, and she said, "No, fuck you. I'll do my own apology."
Hey,
Fine, you did
cool.
your apology, and don't keep posting shit. And again, I am not here. I am not a woke guy, fucking at all. But that is pretty black and white, man. If a company tells you to shut the fuck up and they're paying you a lot of money and exposing you to the masses, and you don't do that, man, you reap what you sow. Like, that's an old saying. You reap what you sow. And like you said, man, you can say whatever the fuck you want to say, for sure. Freedom of speech, man, I'm all for it. But there are consequences to what you said.
Yeah. It'd be better if she came out and said, "Hey, I said it. I knew I was going to get fired when I said it. I said it anyway. Don't feel bad for me. I knew what I was getting into." That's another thing.
Here's the thing. If I wanted to get up and be an asshole and start speech, like doing the most hate speech I wanted on a soapbox, if somebody comes up and punches me in the fucking face and knocks my teeth out, guess what? I deserve it. But you know what? They get to do that. They're going to go to jail too, but I got my freedom of speech, y'all, but I got to pay the consequences for it. So there you go.
If you want to fight a battle, if you want to go on a crusade for somebody, you know how many people today got fired at fucking Burger King just because someone didn't like the way they were wearing their pants? Maybe they were sagging their pants a little bit. Maybe they didn't like the way they were talking to their friend, and they got fucking fired because it's an at-will state, and it's there's so many, and I know it is here, but in a lot of places that way, they can fire you for fucking nothing. They can just fire you, and they don't have to have a good reason for it. And if you've been there less than 6 months, you don't even have a fucking fart's chance in hell at getting unemployment. That happens every day to a bunch of people working minimum wage, and I don't see a bunch of people out there crusading for them. So it is what it is. Like, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. I hate to say that 10 times, but to me, it's the greatest quote of 2021.
Tell me you would not fucking do that. Like, if you and I were cast in a Lucasfilm like thing, right? And we're gonna make, say the minimum was $500,000 for 6 months of work or whatever it was. I would be the most crystal clean butthole boy you've ever seen. Like, I love everyone and no one is against me and evil is bad. I would never say a fucking word that would be inflammatory. I would never comment on the Capitol riots. I would never comment on Joe Biden and the election. I would never comment on Donald Trump. I would keep my fucking shit clean as a woo whistle.
Well, even with us, dude, we've gotten it from both sides. We've made political jokes for fun. Just to have a fucking laugh on both sides. Yeah. Just to have a laugh. And we've had people attack us for that. And then we've also had people attack us for, "You don't understand how important this election is. You need to use your platform to speak out. You need to." And I'm like, I don't need to do shit, man. That's all anybody does is fucking fight and talk about politics anymore. I feel like people want a place to go where they don't have to pick a side. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to let you fucking forget it for 10 minutes. Because you know what? You haven't fed your kids dinner yet. And you've been arguing on Facebook for 3 fucking hours. They're hungry. Get off fucking Facebook. You're not changing the world. Go feed your fucking kids. Take care of your shit for 5 minutes. How about that?
Stop letting that baby hang on your sister's tit because you're too fucking fucked up to lactate, bitch.
Calm down.
It's goddamn trailer park boys. But yeah, dude, it's it really is crazy, dude. I swear to God, when I hear that shit, like, "Oh, you boys don't know shit. You all racist or you all woke as fuck." I feel like Matthew Lillard and Scream's like, "Okay."
We've been called racist. We've been called woke. We've been called liberals. We've been called Trump tards. And the funny thing about that is that Jay and I have completely different political opinions.
We really are. Like, it's like we're motherfucking like Skeletor and He-Man on the opposite sides of the physical spectrum, but we somehow come together and rule Steak Mountain. And
we just happen to realize that nobody gives a fuck how we feel about that. So we keep it to the garage.
Hey, you have a different political opinion than me. I don't give a shit.
It's fucking crazy. Dot to H says, "Hey guys, have y'all watched WandaVision yet? I have not watched anything but the first 2 episodes. I'm just gonna wait at this point and watch them all at once."
I've been all on it, man. Yeah, I haven't watched the newest one, but holy shit. Yeah, man, what they're doing with WandaVision is like some insane cool shit. Like, dude, you gotta watch it because you're gonna see what they're setting up for the next phase of Marvel because you can already see it coming. And I don't want to spoil anything for you guys, but ooh, man, I think that I think Scarlet Witch she's gonna have PMS for a while, and she's gonna have to be put down. She's a wild dog, a mad dog.
I'm laughing at that. I have no idea what happens, but that sounds fun.
Yeah, you want to take a little breaky break before we bring in?
Well, yeah, we have to take one by the 150 because we have a specifically scheduled time to have Mike Nelson on. Let me get these last super chats then. Gary Catlett says, do you think Darkseid's Omega beams will be like normal heat vision where it just travels in a straight line, or do you think he will be able to make them turn corners like they do in the comics?
Absolutely. I think that Zack Snyder pays attention to every detail regarding the DC fandom and the history of the characters. It's gonna turn and twist. The Omega beams are gonna work like the Omega beams. I don't think it's gonna be just like goddamn Cyclops with 2 eyeballs shooting it out. Dude, the Omega beams are fucking deadly because they can do the goddamn figure 8 shit. It was like you could be like running around like up and down jumping like Ace Ventura when he's trying to avoid the sniper shot, and it still would find your ass in that hut.
Yeah, that's gonna be entertaining as fuck to see no matter what happens. Connor Clary says, I'm so hyped for the Batman Joker duo nightmare for the Snyder Cut. I feel Zach will have a great action scene for them fighting side by side. If Batman and Joker fight side by side, I'll shit my pants.
You know what?
That's a ballsy prediction, but my friend.
Yeah, man. I hope this generates enough interest and love and money, which is the key word here, money, for Ben Affleck. I'm just saying, I know this is crazy, but Ben Affleck to put the cowl on one more time and do an actual movie fighting Jared Leto's Joker.
I would love to see
as he is, and directed by Zack Snyder. Can we get a fucking yes?
I would like it very much, Jim. Gypsy Warrior says, obviously JL2 and 3 would be amazing, but if I had one wish come true, it would be a Zack Snyder Batflick show with Jared Leto and Deathstroke. Basically what we were just saying. Fucking A, man. Yes.
Man, Deathstroke is so underused. Can we please get that fucking movie? They had a good fucking guy already cast for him. And the guy's in, what was his name? I can't say his fucking
Joe
name.
Manganiello.
But yeah, Manganiello. Yeah, that sounds like some fucking macaroni that nobody wants to eat. Hey, I got a bowl of Manganiello. It's like, that's some nasty shit. You poor. That ain't Kraft.
And that is it for the super chat. So what we're gonna do, guys? Oh no, it's not. I lied to my face. Mark Dorman said, "Vote Perot." You're goddamn right. That's a train me and Jay can get on together. You vote Ross fucking Perot. He's gonna get it done.
Oh man, hey man, he's the one of the most actually as any independent president, he got 3% of the vote. I appreciate Ross Perot.
He worked for that 3%.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he fucking
proud
did.
of every one of those percents. Ross Perot.
It really was.
Michael Stapp says, happy belated birthday to EJ and belated anniversary to you and Katie. Hey, thank you so much, man. Appreciate that. Celebrating 14 biggins. Hey, ha, hoo.
14 months together.
14 hours. Ain't guilt or get. Intel Wild said, we love your tiny units and fucking faces. I love your tiny unit. I'd put it in my mouth. Wait, what?
Every day I look down, I'm like, why did I get blessed with a tiny unit? But you know what? It's not about the size. It's about how you stick it in.
Yeah, use your tongue. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we'll be back. And when we come back, make sure nobody leaves. Stick around. We've got director of Wrong Turn, Mike P. Nelson, to hang out with us for a little while at the end of the show tonight. Stick around. We'll be right back.
All right.
We'll gore see a few scenes in this, and there's a scene in Brightburn, the gore there.
Oh yeah, that one. That one. I was like, how you died, sir?
And they show it, dude. They don't shy away from it.
I know.
Shit.
Hey guys, welcome back to We Watch the Movie. I'm Mike.
I'm Jay.
We got a treat for you tonight, a little backwoods leg chewing treat.
Y'all want to go hiking with us? Y'all want to go hiking with us and hunt some elk and drink some natural light, bitch? Woo-wee!
Yeah! We don't like no strange boys and girls, hipster people walking around in our fucking woods, man. That's my living room. That's where, hey, you just came through the woods. I was molded by it. You know what I'm saying?
I came up from the goddamn ground itself. Ain't nothing but soul and toll in my veins. Thank you very much. You better get out my fucking neighborhood if you ain't gonna be about the land.
I can smell your juices.
Look, man, when I wake up in the morning, I have nothing to drink but Valvoline straight up fucking oil. I drink that shit.
Get it
smoke
in you.
too. It
You
burned
need
me a little bit. You gotta be careful. You smoke that.
Hey, that'll make.
Dude, that's how I roll my cigarettes.
Oh shit! All right, we're done with that now. I was unaware that the shooter were biters.
Well, you can't help it, man. This movie gets you in that mode.
Yeah, it does. It does. So the reboot of Wrong Turn by Mike Nelson, the director of The Domestics, and written by Alan McElroy, if I'm saying that name wrong, who wrote fucking Halloween 4, dude. The writer of Halloween 4 wrote this.
Well, no wonder this movie was a blast in the pants. I loved it.
It was. I loved it too, dude. I think it's going to be we were talking about this before, but I think some people are not going to like it, and we'll get into why. But as a movie, I thought it was fucking fantastic, man. I enjoyed the shit out of it.
Yeah, the pacing was great. The scares were good. The story was actually really good. I really did dig the story, and the directions and the way that they shot it looked good. And not just that, the cast was likable. I liked all the cast, even the even the grungy. I hang down there about a gas station. I don't like fucking nobody. I like that guy. I liked them all. Like I really did. Even though there was a few though, I was like, damn, man. Like, I mean, I know they're bad guys technically and they're hillbillies, but they look like some fucking neighbors of mine in Kentucky.
you see that shit every week, man.
Hey, man, on Saturday night, if you go down to a place shop, like in my town, they hang out by the dozens.
Hey, we're not making fun of Kentuckians. We're just saying list more than the people in the other Wrong Turn movies. And here's the reason I say that some people aren't going to like it is because it's not like the other Wrong Turn films. I think I'd say there's a gigantic starting portion of the film that does the wrong turn thing, and fans are going to love that. And I actually dare to say that they do the wrong turn thing better than 90% of the other Wrong Turn films do. The parts where they're lost in the woods and weird shit's happening are actually fucking lots of jump moments, and not just dumb jump scares, but really creepy shit that'll shake you out of your goddamn soul a few times, man. Like this movie fucking had me jump out of my chair 3 or 4 times in the first half of it.
Your panties might get full. There's no doubt about that when you watch it in the dark. But here's the thing. See, it's weird. I got a little startled now and again, but I didn't get like that bad scared of it as I thought I would. What I enjoyed the most was, for me, while as I watched it, like, I know it's going to be listed as a horror movie, and I mean, for good reason, but in the way I watched, in the way I viewed it, in the way that I saw the movie, I just felt like it was more of a survival, like suspense thriller type of a movie with a little action and a little horrific images or moments in it, rather than an actual straight up horror movie in regards to like just a booger monster around the corner going, blah, 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 or anything like that. Like that didn't happen. Like it was a really solid, like 7 or something with mixes of like more horror in it.
It's definitely more serious thriller than it is schlocky slasher cannibal horror film.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. No doubt about
it. Also, it's really smart because I don't know, this is just my opinion on it, but I do think that there's a moment in it where it kind of flips the moral compass a little bit, because you go in thinking one thing, right? And then when it gets to the middle of the movie, just about, you're like, wait a minute. I see what you've done here, sir. You've made me think twice about what my initial judgment was. Because that's really what it's almost like, don't judge a book by its cover until you know all the facts.
Yeah.
I felt like I was being preached at by Judge Judy. I was like, I get it.
Handsome Richard is what I call that guy, by the way. Every time he showed his face, I was like, I'm Handsome Richard. I can't say who I'm talking about.
That guy looks like he could be like the main guy here. Yeah, one of the main guys. He looks like he could be in Old Spice commercials. Like he could take over for Terry Crews.
Goddamn right, dude. Or like the most interesting man in the world from the Dos Equis commercials.
Yeah,
we can't talk about who he is because it's kind of a spoiler. But yeah, there's a speech midway through the film, and you're like, this shit's kind of smart. I kind of see what you're doing here. I see what you're getting at, you fuckaroo. But dude, I enjoy the shit out of the movie. Like I said, and you're right. It's far more suspense than it is horror. But where the horror does shine is there's gore. There's well done fucking gore.
Really, really good gore.
There's some scenes that reminded me of the type of gore you saw in Midsommar. Stuff like that. There's a scene in Brightburn that reminds.
I haven't seen that. Is it a movie that came out in the midsummer? What's that?
It did. Midsummer, actually, I believe it did come out.
No,
yes.
I still haven't watched it yet.
Well, there's a gore scene in that reminds me of a few scenes in this, and there's a scene in Brightburn, the gore there.
Oh yeah, that one. That one. I was like, how you died, sir?
And they show it, dude. They don't shy away from it.
I know.
They get in there real nice.
Yeah, that's like watching a crime scene documentary, and they actually show the fucking body. You're like, why'd you do that for? I thought they were gonna be all reenactments, bro.
Get that out of my face.
Oh man, but yeah, you're right. Like the gore is really, really well done, and it's not like put in for just like shits and giggles. It's not just like, oh, we're just gonna throw buckets of blood for no reason whatsoever. No.
They pick and choose. They pick and choose their spots, man. They hit you with it at the right spots, and it's entertaining. It's definitely a film that has 3 acts. There's no doubt about it. I honestly thought the film was going to end at one point, and then I was like, fuck, there's 30 minutes left. And that's not because it wasn't entertaining. That was just because I thought we did it, and we didn't. We had so much to go through, and the movie's ballsy, and the twists and the turns that it takes, it goes all over the place. Like I said, the only way you're going to be disappointed with this movie, I feel like, is if you really wanted another Wrong Turn sequel. I'm not sure after watching a couple of those why you would want one. That's just us. We watched them all in one goddamn day. I'll put the video down below.
It's a dark night.
Yeah, we watched all 5 Wrong Turn movies.
No, it was 6.
It was 6. Yeah. That's weird. I don't remember 6, but we watched all
lost in the dark.
Yeah, dude. We watched them all in one day on a show called Man vs. Movie. All the commentaries for that are back on our Patreon, by the way, and then I'll put the link to those below. But yeah, we didn't. At the end of that, we were like, please God, don't ever make another Wrong Turn movie. Please stop.
Yeah, I was so unenthusiastic when someone was like, did you hear they're making another Wrong Turn movie? I was like, hey, did you hear that? I don't give a shit. It was like, but it's not against, like, nothing against the Wrong Turn purists. I know there's a lot of people that love the Wrong Turn series for whatever reason. That's fine. I'm just saying, for me, like Mike said, we went through a brutal, like, watching of all those movies in a row, and it really it slapped the flavor right out my mouth like I was a hoe and I owed money to a pimp. Like, it was slapped right out. And it's so, I mean, but you know, this was surprising, which you go into and you're like, you saw the trailer, it looked really good, so at least it was promising, and then you watch it and you're like, holy shit. And for me, again, and you've already touched on this, I know it's a Wrong Turn movie, but it almost, like, and I get why it's a Wrong Turn, but it's not really a Wrong Turn movie.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't know.
And
I'm glad they did it. So
yeah, I'm glad they did it too. And like, again, I don't want to say exactly when or how long it lasts, because I really want everybody to experience it for themselves. But there's a good portion of the film that, honestly, even though nothing ends up feeling like it's very, if you wanted world building in the world of Wrong Turn, I feel like you might be disappointed. But the essence of Wrong Turn, being lost in the woods while you're being hunted, and it's scary as shit because you don't know what's in these backwoods with these fucking crazy weirdo wackos. The essence of that's there in a large portion of the movie, so you will get what you wanted out of that. And to me, they do it better than many of the Wrong Turn films did. The film turns on its heel at one point, and it goes to its completely different trajectory. And it's smart though. I liked it. The only thing I'll take away from the film, man, is that there is one gaping.
You need to get that checked up by the gaping.
Got a gaper.
When you fart, it sounds like the windy tunnel. It's so wide.
There is one gaping plot hole in the movie where the whole time I was going, well, why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we doing this one specific thing? But really, that same plot hole is in every single Friday the 13th film too.
Yeah.
So you can't really fault it too much for that. But again, I love the movie, man. The cinematography, the direction, it's a beautiful film to look at. I mean, this thing, it does not look like a direct to video thing, which, by the way, it's in theaters for like 2 days only.
It should. Yeah, it definitely deserves it. I wish it was, like, if theaters were open. Like, to me, if theaters were open, this would be a sleeper hit for, at least in the top, maybe the top 10 of my movies of 2021. If it was in movie theater, it'd be a sleeper hit for me.
Absolutely.
But either way, yeah. And I mean, we're not blowing smoke up its ass for no reason, like, to do it. It really is honestly entertaining.
What am I doing? Hey guys, all right. Let me see what we got here. Dun 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 dun. Mike Nelson, everybody.
Hey, man.
Can you hear us, man?
Well, I'll be damned.
Bro, thank you so much for coming on the show, man.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. I was just I was just playing it on YouTube. I noticed it was doing a little bit of the review that you guys did.
Well, I don't know what happened. We took a break, and like I knew you were coming on at 10, because normally what I'll do is I'll just message the person like the meeting link, and they had me send it earlier, and I came back and I was like, holy shit, it's 10:08. I was like, who's in the waiting room right now? I was like, slamming my keyboard.
I heard you do that panic voice. You're like, oh shit, fucking, my shit was muted. I'm like, hey, it's okay.
So sorry to keep you waiting, man. Our bad.
Oh no, we're actually. I was a little nervous because I literally just got my 5-year-old son down to bed like at well, now here it's 9:10, so I got him down at 8:59, and so I like booked it down here. And I was like, oh my god.
No, that makes me feel way better. Then I'm glad. I know what that's like too. By the way,
Yeah.
we do these live streams at night and like getting the kids to bed right on time, and then they pop out. It's crazy, dude.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much for taking the time, man. We really appreciate it. And a huge shout out to Mike White Jr. for connecting us together.
Gosh, I mean, do you guys know how that all happened?
I don't actually.
The Mike, how I know Mike and everything.
I know that he was in one of your shorts or something like that he mentioned, but
Oh man, back in like this was 2003. So this was back in 2003 when the original Wrong Turn came out. We did a movie called Massacre in Madge, and Mike was friends with a friend of mine who had a lake place up there, Kevin Cray, and we started this tradition for I think it was 3 or 4 years, where we made these short little horror films in 3 or 4 hours. Like we just like balls to the wall. We were just like, okay, what are we gonna do? We're gonna make a slasher. What's the guy gonna look like? Let's see. Let's put a dirt bike helmet on him. Look at this. We got a bright orange like jumpsuit like for hunting. We'll put him in that, and he just goes into a house, and it's kind of Jason-y, it's kind of supernatural, but is it? And it's just a guy that kills all these kids, and it's gonna be great. And so it's like for like 3 or 4 years, every summer we made 1 or 2 of these little horror films. And the first one that we ever did was this Massacre Match, and Mike was the killer.
Oh, that's fucking awesome.
He was the man in orange, is what we called him, and he was kind of like the inspiration was like this Jason Michael Myers hybrid. And he just killed all the friends in the cabin, and then we did a sequel the following year, and Massacre and Madge 2, and we made some other ones. It was great.
that's awesome, man. That's
Great,
awesome. Yeah.
man.
I remember like as soon as the news of the Wrong Turn was coming out, Mike was like, dude, I'm in this shit. I'm like, Mike, you're on mushrooms again, and you're in the chat, and you're just saying weird things. And he's like, no, really. I'm in that shit.
And that whole thing came about with just, I mean, Mike reached out, and he heard about that I was doing the Wrong Turn. And he was like, hey man, can I if I came out there, could I be in it? And I was like, yeah. it was that simple. And he was like, okay. And so I didn't know if he was going to do it or not, but sure enough, he was like, so you're still doing it, right? I'm like, yeah. And he was like, all right, well, I'm coming out. And he came out.
That's awesome.
He got himself a motel room, and he showed up. And I remember he showed up, and I was like, I sent him the text of like how to get in touch with the costume.
And I would approach it though. Hey, you want to be in our film? And then we would just show up in our regular clothes. They're like, you got to go to wardrobe. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? I don't know what that means.
This sounds awesome.
Yeah, it sounds cool though. Yeah.
Hey man,
That was good.
I was going to ask you, by the way, so I'm always fascinated with like how people got exactly to where they were, and especially with like directors and stuff like that. Like, so we were a huge fan of The Domestics, which by the way was Mike White's Patreon pick for us to watch, and we watched it and we're like, holy shit, man, this movie's awesome, which was a movie that you directed in 2018. And everybody watching this right now, trust me, go watch The Domestics. It'll blow your fucking mind. You'll wonder how the hell you haven't heard of it. Loved it, man. It was great. But from your point to starting directing up into the point where you got this movie with this semi big budget. I mean, on IMDb, it's listed at like $10 million or something like that, which is like, it's a shitload of fucking money, dude. You know what I mean? Like, what was your journey like getting from starting directing to having this big movie on your hands?
Where do I begin? It definitely has its journey. I'll give you the shortened version. So basically, been writing stories, making little short films all my life, like since I was 7 years old, just doing the thing. And when it got to the time to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, I was like, dude, I want to make movies. So shit, I want to go to college. Let's go to film school. So I went to Minneapolis College of Art and Design here in Minnesota, and did that 4-year film program. Had a lot of fun. Made some cool stuff, and then finished school. And where was I? I was working at a grocery store for a year. Super glamorous. And then started shooting weddings. Anything to kind of like keep a camera in my hand and stuff like that. Shot a movie called Summer School with a bunch of my buddies from college, and it was an anthology horror film, and did that. Shot it for very cheap on the DVX, which was like the coolest camera ever at the time, and got distribution for it, like this small distribution thing through Osiris, and so it was cool. So like our movie showed up in like Walmart bargain bins and stuff, and it was really fucking cool.
That would be
and,
fucking cool to see.
I would be stoked.
Well, dude, no, it was great. Well, one thing that was really cool is one Christmas, my mother-in-law, she would always get me these horror compilation discs with like 12 horror movies on it, and like they're all indie or they're all like old school, and I opened it up one year, and I'm opening it up, I'm like, oh cool, and like so I get one, and then I open up the other one, I'm like, Summer School. I'm like, did you like? And I look at the back, and I'm like, that's our movie, and it's a terrible disc. It like has a picture of this hand with a giant axe in it. It has nothing to do with our movie. And she goes, oh no, she goes, I just saw, I thought that would be like something you'd be interested in. I'm like, no, I made this movie with some friends, and she's like, no way.
Oh,
and I was like, where'd you get this? She goes, oh yeah, I just got it at Walmart or whatever. I was like, oh gosh, that's awesome. In any case, did that, made that movie, had a lot of fun with that. I also, in college, I was really into like doing sound for movies. Like, so a lot of the movies that I made like had a very heavy sound, emphasis on sound and sound design, and so I did all the sound design for Summer School. When we took it to get scored, the guy who scored the film ran an audio post house here. He liked how it sounded, and he was like, hey, how would you like a job here? And I was like, okay. I was like, yeah, cool. Like, and I've been like scrambling to try to find something in the industry that I could, latch onto. And so this was kind of like my first big break. And so, yeah, I started doing that, cut a bunch of sound for like 40, 50 episodes of Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. And that was a lot of fun. And, cut some stuff for features, and it had a great like 3-year run there. Then I got hired to do commercial directing at a place here in Minneapolis. Just, I wanted to direct, and a buddy of mine from MCAD started his company, and he wanted to start a live action portion of the company. So I went, he hired me there. So I moved on to the next step, kept moving up. Then I got a chance to direct this like kind of sitcom-y educational thing for a year, which was like literally directing every day for a year, which was awesome. While I was doing all that stuff, I was making my own short films. I did a short called The Retirement of Joe Corduroy, which, I got a grant for, a Minnesota art grant for, that I posted that up and got some notoriety on Twitch Film when that was going. Todd Brown, it was kind of run by Todd Brown, who does XYZ Films. And that got out there, and that's kind of how I found my agent, strangely enough. Like, he didn't like sign me on the spot, but he was like, keep in touch with me. Like, and I would every year for like 4 years, I made an excuse to go out to LA so I could just meet with him. So I'd email him and be like, hey man, I'm going to be in LA next week. You want to grab some coffee or lunch or something? He'd go like, sure. So I'd go and buy a ticket, and I'd go out there, and we'd chat, and, just kind of kept that relationship alive. And then went on to the next one. Started doing this little short called The Domestics. Had this cool idea, kind of wanted to do this very grounded, original Mad Max-y kind of marital drama meets post-apocalypse, ultra-violent kind of, story. And did this thing for like $2,000. Worked with the crew that I love to work with here in Minnesota. And that kind of became a proof of concept eventually. I showed the film to Todd Brown at Twitch, who had saw Joe Corduroy, and he was like, hey, did you ever think about turning this into a feature? Because I originally wanted to turn it into a web series, like a 10-part web series with like these 10-minute episodes. So it'd be like a feature-length film, but in these chunks that I could shoot when I had the money. And he was like, you should write a feature of this. Like, I think it's really good. And I was like, okay. So I started writing some stuff down, wrote like this longhand thing, enlisted the help of a good friend of mine, Winona, who, is a great screenwriter. And she helped me kind of put things together and finish the script. And Nothing happened. Like there was nothing, I sent it out to some people and nothing happened. So it sat on my computer and I was kind of bummed out. But I was like, I'm gonna still go for this web story thing. Buddy of mine, this guy from Minnesota, all these Minnesota, I'm telling you, man, there's like something magic about the people in Minnesota. Like there's just great people here and there's great people that do really great things. And this guy that I had met, he was an actor in one of my commercials. He and I hit it off. He went out to LA to start producing and he goes, Mike, I'd really like to do something with you. I love your stuff. It was fun working with you. Do you have any scripts just laying around? And sure enough, I did. It was a script that just been, rotting on my computer called The Domestics. I was like, yeah, here, just if you know anybody who wants to read this shit, just send it to anybody. And he's like, okay, fine. That's and so he sent it to people, and he sent it to Kurt Johnston, the writer of 300 and Atomic Blonde, and he loved it. And he was like, okay. And then he sent it to Shannon Golding, who was a producer at Hollywood Gang. They were the ones behind 300 and From Dusk Till Dawn and all that stuff. And she really liked it. And so she called me and she's like, Mike, how would you like to sit down or how would you like to work with me over the next few months and develop this script? And I was like, okay, cool. We developed the script. We got it to a point. They flew me out. I pitched the movie to Gianni, the owner of Hollywood Gang. That was terrifying experience, but one of the most memorable experiences of my entire life. Like, pitched the movie to this giant Hollywood dude, and he says yes. Yep. And so Cameron, the producer, and I, we steal a golf cart on the Warner Brothers lot, and we just cruise the whole Warner Brothers lot, just like going in and like running around and like trying not to get seen by people. It was like, I'll never forget that day. After that, we just kept working on it. We, got the script to a place where we're all happy. Flew me out again. We started pitching to studios. We pitched to Warner Brothers. They said no, it's just too small for them. And then we had like 5 or 6 places lined up. Pitched to MGM the next day. Went really well. They liked it, but there was no real yes. Went to have coffee in Beverly Hills. We get a call. We want the movie. Wait, what? We want the movie.
Squeeze me.
Okay. And I remember Adam Krentzman, one of our EPs, was just like, no, say it again. Like, you want the, yes, we want the movie. We're willing to put $5 million up right now, proof to production.
Fuck.
Okay. And then he literally had to call, I know. And he had to call Shannon and be like, Shannon, are these other studios as interested as this right now? And she goes, well, let me find out. She calls all the other studios. MGM just offered us this. Can you do the same or can you match it or do better? Nobody could do better. She called back. Nobody can do better. Adam calls him back. We'll take it. Literally, it just like happened. And he was like, this never happens this way. This is insane. We go through the casting hell and, obviously working with MGM was a little bit, tumultuous. It was pretty crazy. There was a lot of ups and downs. Ultimately, though, we got the movie made and super proud of it. It was a crazy adventure. And, you think, you make a movie like that and you're like, wow, I'm in the door. But really, you've just gone from being, the guy in Minnesota who like is kind of on top of his game. So now you're in Hollywood. So now you're all the way back down here.
Right. And
what was hard and what was a giant learning lesson was holy shit, I now am at the bottom. And I thought, well, but I got a movie out there. I can get another movie. Mm. Got a lot of no's. And that was hard. And I didn't know when the next thing would come along. Hence, wrong turn. And then things just kind of, went from there.
Dude. There you go, man. Holy shit. That's
so I know that was a long story, but that's literally that's the fucking journey.
Yeah, man, dude. that's a great journey. That showcases like why Mike and I will never do that. It's like idle. It's like, oh, there was a bright light, but dude, fuck that. That's too far. And you went for it, bro. But like, holy shit, that's awesome.
That's amazing.
It was a lot of work, but it paid off. And I remember like leaving college and just being like, the question they asked us all was, what do you want to do in 10 years?
Yeah.
Where do you want to be? I said, I want to make a Hollywood movie. And it was like 10 months or 10 years, 9 months. And I was shooting Domestics.
Cool. Fucking
I was just like, man. I was like, man, it works like literally. And this is like the message to like anybody that like wants to make movies. Like if you just stick, it's so hard, but if you just like stick to it and that's what you want, like you can do it. Like I'm a nobody from Minneapolis, Minnesota, like freezing in -10 degree weather. and
Literally.
just fought the freaking fight and did it. You know what I mean? So you can do it.
Yeah, man. It kind of reminds me. It's kind of reflective of someone like James Cameron, who had talked about that he used to drive trucks and shit. Like that's what he did, and he bought a bunch of books and learned, on his own, and he broke in through the business that way. Like, yeah, if you just keep grinding at it, eventually maybe the wall will fall down for you. But that's awesome, man. That's fucking cool as shit. Like that's a great story. I loved it.
It is,
You
man.
just gotta want it, man. You gotta want it. You gotta want it bad.
You gotta have that Rocky V soundtrack. Go for it.
Yeah.
And to even go a step further, even if you're not into film and shit like that, and that's why I love asking people that question, like, how did you get to that first thing? That first thing is always the thing that interests me the most, because there's so much turmoil and so much crazy shit and so many no's and so many people like just like looking at you and be like, yeah, okay, sure, you're gonna do that, sure. While you're working at the fucking grocery store, yeah, you know what I mean? There's so many no's and so much shit you have to eat just to get to that first point. That whatever it is you're doing, if you just have to fucking say yes, man, you have to keep going. You have to do that. You had the commercial, you had this, you had that. You kept fucking working, and you were working, and you were working, and you were working, and you got it. And then even when you get it, sometimes it's like, fuck, I'm back to square one. But it's worth it,
Yep.
man.
Yeah.
Oh man, 100%. Like, it's a fun ride, but it is about that journey so much, because I mean, the journey doesn't end until you're dead.
Yep, right
It's
on.
like, destination. What destination? You know what I mean? Like it's there's never a destination. You're always moving forward. So
You're
Fucking
right.
A.
Well, we're going. We don't need roads. Fuck yeah, man.
that's right.
I love that answer, man.
Yeah, man, that's a great answer. What I was going to ask you, like when you look at the original Wrong Turn and what you did with the remake, man, it's such a departure from the obvious like villain in the. And I asked Alan McElroy kind of the same thing. Where you had the crazy rednecks running down the hills in the original one. It's like it's obvious the bad guy, the good guy versus the bad guy kind of situation. And again, I'll pose the same question to you that I asked Alan. When you were directing the movie, was it your intention to make it where it was like a gray kind of area where like don't judge a book by its cover kind of thing, where like you see these guys that are living out in the hills and they have their own lifestyle and maybe they're better off than what the current society is? Was that your intention going forward with the film, to make it like it's obviously Wrong Turn? It's a cool, it's a horror movie, but it's also a complete departure from what the original film was in a lot of ways as well. Is that your intention, to make it more, I guess, morally gray in a lot of areas, like who's the good guy, who's the bad guy?
That was one of the things that was so clear on the script. Like, I know it's like, you talk about like the gray area, but it's like, that was one of the clearest things in the script.
Yeah.
Was just like this idea that, you want to stereotype somebody, you want to judge somebody before you get to know them, you're going to get in trouble.
Yep.
And that was, to me, one of the most unique things about it. I often make this comparison where you have a movie like Friday the 13th, where these series of movies that were done through the Reagan and Bush years, where it's like, be the good kid who obeys their parents, doesn't have sex, doesn't do drugs, and you'll live a happy life. Basically be the virgin.
Yeah.
And you'll be okay. And then if you don't, Jason will murder you.
Yeah.
And in this, I think we're living in such a different time now, that kind of way of thinking doesn't really play so much, I don't think, anymore. I don't think people really buy into that, other than as like a nostalgic thing. It's just you're playing back to the threads of old, and this really showed something new and unique, which was, like I said, you want to stereotype somebody, you want to judge somebody, that's how you're going to get killed. And that was sort of that kind of horror, theme, the horror thematics, if you will, that I thought was really cool and connected.
It was awesome, man. I loved it. It was one of the things that, like, after I watched it, I was like, holy shit, that's really fucking good. Like, that was an amazing little like tidbit that you put in there. I really loved it a lot, because it wasn't like you mentioned, like the regular tropes that you would have with Jason, and you just mentioned Friday the 13th, like, don't have sex before marriage, what an asshole. And then Jason's gonna kill you. But yeah, I like that you added this like muddled kind of, if you're gonna walk into a situation that you're not 100% like fully like knowledgeable about, and then just say, hey, that's a redneck asshole prick, and then just judge him like that. Like, I loved it, man. I thought that was a really nice touch with that film.
Well, and you know, one of the things that was really neat about like what Alan had set up and what we, you know, kept discovering as we were making the film is that all of these characters are judging each other.
Mhm.
You know, the foundation is judging, you know, the town and the city kids. The city kids are judging the foundation and the townsfolk. The townsfolk are judging the foundation and the city folk. Like, and it gets everybody into a world of trouble, and that's when the bodies start piling up. You know, it's because of all these assumptions that people make. And you know, I think it's I mean, I read this script in 2017. Like, this is, you know, this wasn't like, well, we got to make this because it's 2020 and holy
Yeah.
shit, like, you know, people are, you know, are shitty towards each other and racist. And no, like, this was, I mean, this is something that Alan, you know, something was percolating, something was bubbling. And you know, it's almost like he could see something coming, you know what I mean? And so when everything kind of hit the fan in 2020 and we realized we had this movie, it was kind of like, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to like see this and be like, holy crap, like, how timely. And then there are going to be a lot of people who are going to see this movie and they're going to be like, who's the bad guy? Who, like, come on, like, what's going on? Like, this is ridiculous. Like, what are you trying to say here?
Mhm.
And you're like, exactly.
That's the beauty
Like,
of it, is that you don't have to make a statement.
Keep it
You can-
ambiguous. Yeah, I love it.
You know, it's because it would have been so easy for us to like, to do the foundation thing and then have the hillbilly townsfolk come back and try to kill them too, and they're still the bad guys because every movie has a fucking hillbilly that's a bad guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, or, you know, you could have just had, you know, the foundation, just, you know, they're just a bunch of pricks and that's that. But like,
Yeah.
the like you were saying, like, the gray area is kind of where I felt like the challenge lay. That's where the fun came. That's where, like, you know, discovering like, well, how does this make you feel? You know what I mean? And it's been really interesting seeing people's reactions to that. You know, so like I said, some people absolutely love that, like, it messes with them because they're just kind of like, they're like, I don't know how to feel about that, because it's like, I know those kinds of people, but I don't like them, but I understand, like, that's not the right thing to do. It, like, and it's so funny, like, people get torn about it, and it's great. And then you have the people who are just so mad that there's no cannibals that they literally have posted on my Instagram page, like, if I see you in the street, I will fight you.
Oh, shit.
That's actually what I was going to ask you to too, because like, I think for number one, piggybacking off what Jay and you were talking about, there being a gray area in a movie in 2021, even if it did come out in 2017, is such a refreshing thing, because you can feel yourself watching a movie and you're watching it and you're going, all right, what are they really trying to say? Like, which side are they on? At what point are they trying to make? What kind of political thing are they trying to throw at me? I could sense it coming from a mile away. You don't get that with that movie. And I didn't even feel myself looking for it in that movie. I was just watching it, enjoying what was happening. But what I wanted to ask you was, there was a bunch of people that, and I was surprised by it, because, hey, kiddo, hi, you got good timing. This is, speaking of what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, how's it going?
Hey, kiddo.
Ellie.
Say hi.
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 But
Oh my.
I mean, I saw a bunch of people come out, and I was shocked by it, because they were like, oh, well, this isn't, and I won't say what it is, because spoilers, because it's still coming out. It's coming out this week, or very soon, I believe, by the way.
Tuesday, yeah.
Tuesday. And by the way, Jay and I both recommend the heck out of it, for sure.
So good.
But I saw a bunch of people upset because, you know, it doesn't have this or doesn't have that. And I'm like, if it were me, I'd be like, did you guys really want a Wrong Turn 7? Did you want another one of these late sequels where it just does the same thing over and over again? If Jay and I watched all those movies in one single day, and by the end of it, we wanted to throw ourselves out of a 5th-story window, like, legitimately. And
I felt like Randy from fucking American Idol. Like, that's a no for me, dog.
yeah, I mean, we were done. And the first and second movie were okay, and every movie has its own little parts to it. I'm not trying to poop on those movies, but the fact that you guys did something refreshing and different, like, we just loved. I don't think you could have done a Wrong Turn 7 and followed that and had it be any kind of successful story whatsoever. So when people came out and they were like, oh, I wanted it to be Wrong Turn, it's not Wrong Turn at all, this is bullcrap, I was shocked. I was going to ask you how you felt about that. Did you expect that, and did that just blow you away too?
We completely expected it to happen. Like, you know, I think from the get-go we had the conversations. You know, I remember bringing it up. I was like, so there's no the world knows there's no cannibals in this movie. Believe me, there's already people saying like, wait, I haven't seen this movie, there's no cannibals, what the hell? So I'm just gonna let it rip. There's no cannibals in this movie. You know, and I can't necessarily apologize for that, because that's not the script that I signed up for, you know. And I think that was part of the things that I was really excited about, was we didn't just take the usual path. Look, I talked to Alan and I talked to Robert Kulzer, who's one of the executives at Constantine, and they were fully aware. They were like, no, we want to do something different, like straight up. And that was one of the biggest like sells for me. Like, you know, I love the story, I love the script, but having these two creatives who were so ready to take a risk and do something bold with a franchise, and like do this to a franchise, like nobody's doing this kind of thing to a franchise right now. You know what I mean? Like you know, most franchises are, they take the path that, you know, is similar. It's different to a certain extent, you know, because it's a different director, you know, slightly different vision. And those, you know, sometimes they can work, but you know, doing something bold and unique like this, and making a statement and going against the grain, doing something that was a little bit more challenging, that wasn't going to necessarily make everybody happy, you know, to me that was a really cool decision. And we were kind of ready for it. I can't say you can ever be fully ready until you start to get, you know, shit hurled at you. And you know, just the tip of the iceberg on that right now. Like I can't wait until next week. It's going to be insane. But you know, we also didn't do this movie, you know, in spite of those people either. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
Ultimately, you know, we didn't want to make this movie to make people mad. Like that wasn't the idea. The idea was to make a good movie. And you know, we all felt like, you know, Wrong Turn 1 through 6 are what they are. You know, Wrong Turn 1, Wrong Turn 2 are actually cool little movies.
Yeah.
And but after 6 movies, like, why not do something new? You know,
100%.
it's like you get all these people who complain about, oh, another remake.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, okay, what if we do a remake that's like a remake, but like in a completely new vision? Like not even any, like, other than like Wrong Turn being like set in Appalachia, and you know, there's hikers, or there's, you know, people in the woods. Like, to me, Appalachia is the main character of the Wrong Turn franchise. Like, you know, I get the love for Three Finger and the brothers, and you know, One Eye and Sawtooth. Like, I get that love. Like, they're memorable characters. But to me, Wrong Turn is about shit going wrong in Appalachia.
Yeah.
I get that.
And
Yep.
and that's what this was in a completely new way. And so, you know, it's been fun to see the people who get that, you know, and literally will like reach out and be like, this was so fresh and unique, and you get it. Like, you get, like, we wanted something new and you gave it to us. But you know, there's still the people who will be like, what happened? Oh my God, like, I'm so sad. Like, how could you do this? And then there's the ones that are just like, your movie's straight up shit, brah. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'm like,
throw the brawl in there. It's
cool.
over.
I'm like, cool, man. Like, I mean, I don't know what to tell you, but like, you know, like, you almost kind of want to say, you want to be like, okay, well, cool. Like, I mean, why don't you go out and make Wrong Turn 7 with you know, with Three Finger? I'd fully support that. Go for it.
Yeah, and you still
You know?
can. And that's the thing. You still can do that if you want to. If you want to go out and make that movie, you can. I think of it like the Tremors franchise, too. Like, the Tremors franchise is much in the same way. You can go out and you can make Tremors 12, and there will be a small group of people who watch it on Netflix or the direct DVD, and they'll like it. But if you're trying to really bring the franchise back, you can't just keep doing that. So, you know, I was actually really shocked by those people's response to it, and not to shit on them or anything like that for that. I understand it, too. But yeah, I'm surprised that you weren't surprised, because it blew me away. I thought people would, and I think honestly, when it hits a bigger audience, and I hope this when it hits the video on demand and more people can watch it, and people who, I think then you're gonna get to the people who just want to watch a scary movie. You know, they want to watch a good movie and they just turn it on, and they don't just turn it on because it's called Wrong Turn. I think I really hope that swings back around, and I think it might. You know,
I like how you were talking about the setting. It almost like reminds me of like if you watch a movie like The Shining, like the Overlook Hotel is the actual character, one of the main characters in the film that a lot of people overlook. I mean, yes, Jack Torrance, his descent into madness is part of it, and it's the classic part of it. But the setting is what draws you in, and like the atmosphere that it builds. And you're talking about Appalachian being that character that's always present in the background, like some static image, like really sets the tone for it. Man, I gotta be honest, when I watched, like when Frank was like, oh, we got the Wrong Turn remake, I'm like, oh shit. Like that was the first thought. And then I was watching it, and as it developed and as the story started being unfurled, and I'm like, holy shit. I was watching it with my girlfriend. I looked over, I'm like, dude, this is fucking crazy good. Like, I was like, they're going, like, I could see all the things that you were utilizing, and it was like incredibly insane, like the little intricacies that you're putting in the film, and I could see it, and it was awesome. And that's one of the things, like, you come from the Wrong Turn original film, and then you come here to the remake, and it's like, it's such it's the same movie, but it's so different. And like, dude, props to you, bro. Like, you really did a good job with this film. And I don't know about a guy saying, fuck you, bro. Like, I would say kudos to you, bro. Like, you did an awesome job.
There's gonna be a whole lot more of those in the next coming weeks. But it is what it is. We knew what we were getting into, and again, like, we weren't making a movie that's not what we were not intending to go and piss people off. Like, that wasn't the idea. The idea was just to make a good original movie, and we just didn't feel like making an original movie with 3 characters that were inbred and deformed. Again, that wasn't original, right. and so we moved on.
And to be fair to you guys, I feel like the first half of that movie, and for anybody watching this right now who hasn't watched the movie yet, who does want some of the old Wrong Turn stuff in there, I feel like the first half of the movie still had a lot of, when you don't know exactly what's going on yet, it still had those same vibes. I was still scared. I was scared of those people in the woods. When shit happened, it happened. And like the gore effects and the stuff you guys did, it was legit. I watched it with my 11-year-old, and don't worry, she watches lots of horror movies with me. But like, there's a couple scenes where we were like, oh, Jesus, no, what the fuck is that? You know what I mean? Like, the effects, the way you guys did it, I felt like, and those people who wanted a Wrong Turn 7 with 3 finger and stuff like that, I understand where they're coming from. But for me, you guys took the good stuff about Wrong Turn, and even if they don't like the second half of the movie, which I did, you guys took the good stuff of the first Wrong Turn movie and you put it into today's practical effects, just really like legit looking shit, man. And I thought it was fantastic.
Amazing.
Oh, I mean, thank you so much. Like that, and that's what we were trying to do. We were just trying to we were really trying to just ground it in the world now, and make it feel real, and and tell the story. Like, that's really what it came down to.
That trunk scene, holy shit. Sure. When that was revealed, I was like, God damn. Like, I was like, it looked good as shit though, but I was like, holy shit. I'm glad I didn't have SpaghettiOs or anything like that, because that would have been like all over my computer. But holy shit, that was a good scene. But yeah, man. I know this is off subject a little bit about Wrong Turn, but I want to ask you. You're a director, so I just want to throw this out to you. We'll get back to Wrong Turn for sure, but I'm just gonna ask. Okay, so Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, or Pumpkinhead. If you had your pick, which out of those 3 do you feel that you would be the best suited for out of those 3? Or what would you rather do out of the, like, Pumpkinhead, Nightmare on Elm Street, or Friday the 13th? Where do you want to go?
Give me Pumpkinhead any day.
Dude, fuck yes, I like that.
And here's the thing, like, I've had dreams of this is weird because I never ever in a billion years ever thought I would be making a Wrong Turn movie. Like, I have to put that out there. Like, never ever in any universe that I think that I'd be remaking Wrong Turn or reimagining or whatever. I have had dreams though where I have remade or I've been working on a remake of Nightmare on Elm Street, or working on or figuring out how to do a remake of Friday the 13th. Like those things, like they seep in, and I think about those things, and there's a lot of things that I feel like you could have a lot of fun with. But I feel like like with the Nightmare on Elm Street remake and the Friday the 13th remake, I'm not saying that you have to go in and pull a wrong turn. We'll say, like, with those movies, like, it's not like you make Nightmare on Elm Street without Freddy Krueger. Like that's preposterous. You know what I mean? Like, that's Nightmare on Elm Street is Freddy Krueger. Friday the 13th is Jason. But I think the remakes, and I think we were in the zone where the remakes played it so safe, so close to the chest, like, we can't screw this up. We have to give everybody exactly what they want. Nothing, super unique and fresh. And I think, I mean, at least I hope that, if those properties ever get reborn again, that, somebody, grabs onto them and really does something really interesting. Like, something that subverts some sort of thing that you feel like, what that story is, but like it flips it on its head somehow, because that's what's so surprising when you watch one of these movies. And yes, you can go in and feel satisfied, but why feel satisfied when you can be fucking ecstatic? You know what I mean? Like, it's satisfaction is just seeing what you're used to. Like, I'm over being satisfied. Like, I want to see something, unique. You look at something, and I think people forget that, John Carpenter's The Thing was highly smashed and beaten to a pulp when it came out, because if this is supposed to be like a remake of The Thing from another world, like, that movie was a classic. They're just making this terrible, gory, he's an exhibitionist. Like, he's just doing gore for gore's sake, and it's just awful. Oh, terrible, terrible, ishy stuff.
Yep.
And what is one of the most groundbreaking horror movies that, if you say, like, what's one of your favorite horror movies of all time? What is the movie that, like, 70% of people are going to say? It's John Carpenter's The Thing. It's insane. You know what I mean? Like, it's insane how many people are like that movie changed. I mean, it changed my brain when I first saw it. You know what I mean? And to realize that, like, that being like a remake or a reimagining from a director who had a vision that wanted to do this thing and made it so unique and so different. And it has stayed the test of time. I think with Freddy and Jason, I think those need something like that. I think those need some sort of a brand new fountain. You know what I mean? To resurge life in them. Pumpkinhead, to me, is something that, it's this weird, dingy little property that, like, has its strange little niche of fans. Much like Wrong Turn in a way, that has this really fun lore to it. And, I think that the sequels, unfortunately fail miserably.
Yeah, they did.
And even the first movie is not perfect, but there's a weird charm to it. There's a real vision. There's a real unique stylistic stamp to it that I can't put another movie. I can't point at another movie and say, oh, that's like Pumpkinhead. Pumpkinhead's kind of on its own.
Yeah, it really is.
And that's what was so unique about it. And that's one that I know that the property is all tied up. It's not Friday the 13th tied up, but Pumpkinhead's tied up with some producers and directors and some writers right now that, like, I tried. I went for it at one point. At one point, I was pitching, like, I put out like 4 ideas to James Wan's company, the guys at Atomic Monster, like, because when I said I wanted to I loved to try taking a stab at Pumpkinhead, they were like, send us some ideas. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so I sent them.
It's the
tip. I know. Just, JTT, right? And I was like, oh my gosh. So I sent them these ideas, and I remember them getting back to me like, whoa, these are actually really cool. And then I heard back from them again, like, yeah, so we just found out that this is all tied up with another producer who, like, the owner of it, like, and all. Anyway, it didn't
Yeah.
matter. Like, and then then you go to Orion, which I think it's an MGM release.
Yeah.
And so like Orion, you go to Orion, which was they released domestics, and I'm like, hey guys, like what's going on? Like, I would love to try to do something with this. Like, I think I could bring something really unique to this. And they're like, they tell me the same thing. Yeah, we would love to do something too, but like, there was already the producers who own it, and or like they have the property already, and they already pitched to us, and we passed on. I'm just like, oh my god.
Damn.
So it's very possible that we don't see that anytime soon, and it's a shame because
It
I
really
think
is,
you
yeah.
could, because it's just it's the it's the fantasy element to it, and the legend and the lore, and it's a giant fucking creature monster that like
So cool. I know. Like,
it's
and
just
Stan
it's just-
Winston worked on the
I
effect,
know,
like,
I
shit,
know.
dude. Like, yeah.
It would fucking rip, dude. It would rip if it came out today. There's no doubt about that.
Oh
at
my
all.
god, I would love, and
Shit.
you would be. I would fucking put you up there for it, man. Like, holy shit, like what you did with Wrong Turn and putting you in front of a Pumpkinhead project. Yes, please. Can I?
Well,
have some-
and you know what the joke would be? Oh yeah, he's gonna do Pumpkinhead, but there's gonna be no Pumpkinhead.
There's not gonna be any pumpkin pie.
Yeah, exactly. And then I can tell you right now, the reason you make a Pumpkinhead movie is literally because of Pumpkinhead. So
Yes,
let's
exactly.
we have to lay down the ground rules here
Yeah.
and say that. But I love that question, and I love that it's like Freddy, Jason, or Pumpkinhead. I'm like, fuck.
I was throwing that in. Like, that was my curveball. I was like, I know you're gonna pick that. Like,
That worked out
just-
splendidly.
I honestly feel like it's the one property that like it feels like it could benefit the most, 'cause
Right.
the other ones
Yeah.
are all Freddy, like the Nightmare on Elm Street series, or at least let's just say the first movie. It's a great movie. It doesn't. You don't have to remake that. It's already kind of its own thing. It's already great.
right.
The Friday the 13th movies will say, part 1 through, gosh, well, there's even the ones in between that are good. I'm a part 4 guy. Like, I love Final Chapter. To me, Final Chapter is like it's like so damn classic. Like, it's just
amazing.
like the machete chop in the head, and the beating him with a hammer and sticking the thing in his neck, and like the shadow with the harpoon kill it. Like, there's just to me that was like the pinnacle Jason film. It probably doesn't help that it was the one that I saw the most of when I was a young person, so like that's what I associate Jason with. But like that one to me is always so great. But those movies have such a presence to them, as great or as poorly done as they are, and so redoing it, it's kind of like, that's fine, but that's where like Jason could really use another revamp too. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, like you got you're on point, man. Like it feels like Pumpkinhead is always overlooked. Like it never like really gets the respect that it deserves in a lot of ways.
I
And
know.
it's like, dude, that's a great fucking film in a lot of ways. Like,
It's beautiful to watch too.
Yeah,
It's just visually, it's awesome.
yeah, and you're right, man. Like the high fantasy horror element to it, like it's almost like a Pan's Labyrinth, mixed in with like a lot more horror than Guillermo del Toro wanted. Like, I don't know, I love it, man. But yeah, you would be the guy. Like you'd be like, you get it. Like you would
Watch the shit
understand.
out of that, dude. I'd watch the shit
Yeah,
out
I
of that.
love Pumpkinhead.
And
It's
plus,
so
you have
fun.
the like everybody fucking loves it. And like Halloween's a big deal now. Like you release that bitch during Halloween, and you lay that Halloween atmosphere over top
Wait,
of it. Oh my god.
You know what it is? I don't know if it's because we're from Kentucky, but there are fucking places. It's like, hey man, you go down that road, you're gonna find a witch woman.
I've
She's
seen
gonna
some
tell you
shit.
a lot of things, man. She's gonna tell you a lot of things. You can't look at her in the eye when she tells you that you gotta go down to the store and get like one kind of fucking apple seed. But don't you worry. I don't know. It's like,
Bunch of bored kids on bikes. Like we're gonna go,
Yeah.
dude. We're gonna go
Yeah,
find
yeah.
that old chick. and
Oh
see
my
what's going
god,
on.
it's so good, man.
it's
God,
so
I love
good.
that.
It's so good.
I mean, there's just that lower is so good. God, yeah, I know. It's a shame. Someday, man, you can't put it off the table. Who knows? 10 years from now,
Hey,
is
I
that is
hope
that is
so.
that my next 10-year goal?
Hey.
Make the next Pumpkinhead movie. I don't know.
You said it
Love-
yourself,
That'd be
dude.
fun.
You didn't think you'd be doing Wrong Turn. Maybe 10 years from now you're doing Pumpkinhead. But in between that though, do you have anything lined up for after Wrong Turn after this comes out? Is there anything you're working on that you can actually talk about? I know there's a lot of stuff you probably can't, but
I mean, look, reading a bunch, getting, like much like how I got Wrong Turn, just getting scripts, sent and reading stuff. And like I can't tell you how excited I get when like I open my email box like mid-afternoon and it's my agent or my manager like sending a script. I'm just like, oh my gosh, what's this one about? Because like what's great is, I mean, they get me, they understand my brain, and sure there's a couple stinkers in there, but like they get the vibe, and so I'm always like super excited to get new material. And yeah, there's a couple interesting things that I've read recently, and that I are possibilities. One that's kind of this. It feels like it could have been like a Charles Bronson movie.
Shit.
Back in the day, like a Mr. Majestic, but like way more hyper violent, which is super cool. And then I really like going to Pumpkinhead. Like I at some point I really want to try to figure out a way to like, I'd love to make a creature film. And I don't know what that is. Like, one of the big goals I would love, like, I think, Jurassic Park, Jurassic World kind of has like the monopoly on dinosaurs, but like, I want to do a dinosaur movie that like, okay. So there's a comic book called Xenozoic Tales.
Yeah.
And it's literally, and then they published an excerpt of a bunch of stories called Cadillacs and Dinosaurs.
Oh, shit.
And it's literally like an alternate reality future where nothing progressed since the 50s, and it's like cool 50s cars and fucking dinosaurs. And to me, like to me, I'm just like, damn, that's cool. And like, I feel like we've been in the theme park dinosaur world for so long now. It's like I get so excited by trying like to explore all these new kind of zany concepts, and like to have like this movie. Like I had this movie like that was kind of a play off of this old movie called Valley of Gwangi, which was basically a Western with a dinosaur, where these cowboys find a dinosaur. They find like a fucking Allosaurus out in the desert, and they like reel it in, and they like rope it like a freaking horse, and they pull it into like a circus, and like it goes crazy and it starts eating people. And to me, it was like, I was like, man, like how cool would it be to do like a modern, or even like not even a modern, but like I thought the cool idea would be like to do like a you'd set it in the 50s with a bunch of hot rodders that like go to these salt flats, but that are all like cordoned off. But like, they break into like this area because it's like it's just miles of like, so they can race for like 3 fucking miles straight, and do it like a 3-mile race, like straight away. But like, people that go in there don't come back, you know what I mean? And they know the danger, and they don't know why, but it's literally like, it's a damn Allosaurus living out in the desert that like has been like in the cave, and it's all about, the movie's all about this flag girl that like, she's also a mechanic, and like, her boyfriend goes missing, and so they go out there, and she takes this ragtag group of like mechanics and their hot rods, and they go out there, and it's this fucking dinosaur chasing a hot rod. Fuck, it's so cool, man.
Dude,
it's like
it's badass, dude. Like that's legit.
All I'm imagining is someone like at a barren wasteland, and like you're fucking racing cars, like racing cars, it's a car race movie, and then a fucking dinosaur pops out of left. You're like, what the fucking smoke monster bullshit is going on here? So fucking.
I feel like we got a prequel like Savage Dragon, like immediately go into like Savage fucking Dragon. Like that would be cool as shit.
So you have no qualms with staying in the post-apocalyptic wild world setting. I
love that kind of stuff.
That's awesome.
I think there's like, it's like the no rules yet rules kind of thing, where as long as you feel like kind of like all bets are off, you can create your own rules within that. Right. I think that's such a cool thing. But anyway, I loved it. Going back to what I was talking about, like, I'd love to break into making some sort of a creature flick. And so I just got one through my email the other day, and it was pretty run of the mill, but like, it has the potential to do something like super like crazy. It's pretty B, but at the same time, like if you were able to like subvert and do something like, there's some ideas that are floating around, and I can't wait to get. It would be really cool if we were able to accomplish it. But other than that, a couple scripts that I'm writing myself. Always doing I was doing my own writing and you know, have the spec scripts, and we have one of them right now it's a UFO chase.
No, I love
Was
that.
super inspired by, like, you know, Fire in the Sky, which is, you know, one
Oh
of my
shit! Oh
all
my
time
god!
growing up. Like it literally changed me as a person.
Dude,
It, like,
fucking-
preach to the church.
I would not walk by windows in my suburban house after watching Fire in the Sky on
Oh,
HBO.
my
I would duck down, and if I had
Yep.
to take the trash out, I fucking booked it back to the house.
Hey,
dude, after
dude,
watching that movie.
We were at a Scarefest, man, and we got you know, the honor to give a quick interview with Travis.
Our
the real
first
Travis.
ever interview was him.
Yeah, dude. And that guy fucking scared, like, dude, like he scared me because, like, that guy seen some shit. Like, I was talking to him, and he was telling us what, like, you know, what the idea, like, what the aliens were like doing and all this stuff. I'm like, holy shit! Like, I don't know how nobody believed this dude, because this guy is telling the fucking truth.
I fucking believe him, dude.
Like, it was legit, dude. I'm like, holy
Wow.
shit. Yeah, man.
Oh, that's
like,
so
we
cool.
actually went back and got a poster from him, and because I felt bad, I was like, I'll buy a poster from you, man. And he signed it. He's like, Mike and Jay, trust me, stay in the truck. Like, it was fucking crazy.
I got it. It's in my closet right now, dude.
Yeah,
It's literally
dude,
in my
it was
fucking
so
closet.
cool. He's a like, man, like, I don't know. That's a crazy fucking movie, man. That's
Yeah,
a
dude.
great.
Yeah.
Man,
Anyway, so yeah, I mean, that was one of them. And then the other one I'm doing, I've always wanted to do like a Christmas holiday horror, and so I'm doing one that's very. It's like if you take like the original Black Christmas, sort of mix some DNA from Halloween, and then give it a slight supernatural twist.
Ooh.
That's what I'm trying to do with this
I'd be-
this other one. So
I'd be
feels
into
good.
that. There's not enough of those. And I know that we have to let you go soon, because I just looked down at the time and I was like, holy shit, we've been talking
oh,
about this
dude,
dude's ear off for forever.
you know, I got nothing else to do but go to bed. So
Okay,
whatever.
cool, man. Speaking of what you just said about Halloween, I got to ask you this, and please, chat, please go watch The Domestics, because I watched it again today, just in
It's really good.
preparation for this interview, man. And the second time I watched it, I can't think of the dude's name off the top of my head. Hang on, I got it here. I got notes. I'm like fancy like that and shit. What's the actor's awesome. He was in The Guest. What was it?
Lance Reddick.
Lance Reddick, that's who it was. So you got like A Quiet Place comes out, right? And A Quiet Place is kind of, you know, the story with that. And now they're like, oh, there's a whole universe around this. Then we're gonna do this movie, we're gonna do this movie. And I was watching The Domestics thinking, fuck, man, there's so many different, if you're gonna go prequel or in the future or talk about this gang or that gang, like when you wrote that, and you wrote that one yourself, when I was thinking about his character, I was like, oh my God, you know what would, in my mind, what would be the coolest fucking movie ever would be a cannibal story about him, because, you know, spoiler alert, he ends up being a cannibal just out of necessity. But he goes from like the most charismatic, nice guy ever to like, I fucking eat people, and you're gonna fucking eat people with
I
me.
like
God
that
damn it.
shit.
You know what I mean? Like,
I like that.
I would love to see a movie, like a side story about his character, who's like, he goes home to his wife and kid, and he's all like the nicest guy ever, and then he stalks a family like fucking Michael Myers in their like house right before the apocalypse, or right when that shit's going on, and he's just trying to eat them. To me, that would be the coolest fucking movie ever. That's not really a question. I just had to say that out loud.
Can
like
you
the-
imagine though, like how, I mean, you have a movie, or let's even say like a series, or limited series, or an episodic show, where your character is Lance Reddick. Like, you know, he's Nathan Wood. He's this guy who, like, he's your dad. He's, you know, your neighbor. Like, he's just that normal guy, but he does this thing. He does this, like you said, this very like almost Michael Myers stock thing where like you're with his family, he's doing this, he's protecting them from like pillagers and rapists and fucking whatever. And then he suddenly just like stalks these people that are very easy to get, that he can take and cook and feed to his family. Like, that's awesome.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a super
like-
cool idea. I
Yes.
love that.
Fuck yes. I just thought
Yeah,
about
that's
it in my living room today, and I was like, I'm probably not going to get the chance to talk about that, but I'm feeling pretty
that's-
fucking great
You
right now.
thought about it, or you thought about doing it?
A little bit of both. It is
You're like,
snowing
"Oh,
outside.
that's
I'm getting
sitting
hungry.
on
I can't go to Kroger.
Dude, that's freaking great. Well, what's cool about The Domestics was, you know, again, it was originally supposed to be it was kind of a series originally, and, you know, it turned into a feature. And, you know, the guy, the producer, Gianni, who at Hollywood Gang, he literally like talked to me. This was probably 2 months ago. He spoke to me and he said, Mike, I want you to think about what you could do for a domestic, like a TV show. And I was like, okay. And so, again, I can't promise anything because, you know, there's 1,000 freaking ideas going around for TV shows. And, you know, this is just one of those. But, you know, the fact that, you know, there's a producer and close friend of mine who has the power to like push something like this. That's something that we are, like I said, I can't promise it, but it's something that we are like genuinely like searching for the right avenue, and I have some ideas.
It's built for it, man. It's built for it.
It really is.
There's so many characters. There's a world. There's a whole world, and it's a zany, pulpy, culty kind of world, and I think that's what makes it so unique. You know, it's not as cutting. It's not as like, you know, it's not Walking Dead. You know, humans are worse than the zombies. Like that's a very like, this is that, you know,
right.
In you know, it's Quiet Places, you know, is you know, alien monsters, you know, taking, you know, people, and then, you know, people dealing with that. This is just like, again, it's this throwback to all the things that we love about, you know, what post-apocalyptic movies are, and putting that into one complete world, and then following the characters that like have to like maneuver. Like the normal ass people like you and me that just have to like deal with that shit.
Yeah, the guy's got the bitchy wife. It's like, God damn.
Like it's such a sick attraction for me too, because like I'll watch The Road with Viggo Mortensen, and I'll watch Legend, and I'll watch like The Book of Eli. I'm like, these fucking films are great, dude. Like I love that shit. Like I love like that post-apocalyptic world. Like how are we as humans surviving? Yeah, it's a weird kind of attraction to that. But yeah, man, 100%. Like that would be fucking amazing if that gets made into a television series.
I'd watch the shit out of it, dude.
It would be fun. It would be fun. So I mean, again, you know, you never know. You just you go with what the next project that kind of drops in your lap. You know, much like a wrong turn, and you just kind of run with it. But you know, you always got to keep fighting for things like this because you just never know.
Hey, Mike, I gotta ask, are you a Cavaliers fan?
So okay, I don't want to get too big into this, but like before COVID, every Christmas I would get my brother lives 20 minutes from me, but we don't hang out nearly enough. So every Christmas I would get like, you know, tickets to go to a game, and we don't give a shit about sports. Like we could care less. But we're like, you know what, but it's fun. You go to a game, you drink a bunch of beer. It's like, you know, and so for years, like I'd go and I'd get tickets for any kind of game, basketball, hockey, baseball, whatever. And whenever we'd go, I would always get a hat or the shirt of, because we're going here in Minnesota, so it's whatever. It's the Twins, it's the Wolves, it's the Wild. But I would never get that shit. I would always get the opposing team, and so we would always wear the opposing team's gear.
I get you, yeah.
and go to the game like dressed as, like in this case, Cavaliers fans, because I was like, well, shit, we should probably go and see, see the Cavs play. I mean, that's kind of a cool thing. And so we did, and you know, I don't think we watched any of the game. I think we just sat and talked and drank up in the nosebleed seats. But I love this hat, and I love the Cavaliers logo is like one of my favorite. Like this old school,
old school one still.
I love it, dude.
90s or 80s 90s logo was like, I remember this when I collected basketball cards. So like that's why I got this hat, and I love the colors. So I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna wear it. So when people ask me, I'm like, no, I don't care about the Cavaliers. I just like that.
Yeah, dude. It's like, I like the embossed thing. I was like looking at it. I want to touch it.
Hey, man, do you care if we go to some questions from the chat before we let you go? Because I know that
let's do it.
I've been ignoring them. But Eric Burke, thanks, buddy. He says, is this his favorite movie he has directed? I'm guessing he's saying Wrong Turn, and why?
I mean, I've only done two. I mean, if he's talking features, you know, I've only done two. And and they're both so different. And here's why. Like, here's why I can't necessarily say like one is my favorite over the other. And I feel like I'll have a favorite if I ever get to like movie number 5. Like, let's just say I get to movie number 5, and again, fingers crossed, that'd be amazing.
I think you will. I think you'll be all right.
The domestics I wrote and directed, and so that has a completely different feel and a place like in my heart than Wrong Turn does, because Wrong Turn, somebody else's script, somebody else's story that that I adapted to screen, but that brought along with it a completely other array of feelings that I had never experienced. Like, I had never really, I mean, other than doing some of the sitcom-y stuff that I had done from some of the writers for that show that I did, like I'd never directed a film from somebody else's script before. This was the first time. And so it felt very different. There was, doing Wrong Turn, there was a strange feeling of release. And like, with Domestics, I felt like I was very attached to all the content and very like you're writing it, so you're envisioning it. And when you're there shooting it, you're like, shit, this doesn't look like how I envisioned it. How the hell am I going to make this look like how I envisioned it? And you eventually have to get over it and just do the best you can with what you have, because that's, I mean, it's a $10 million movie, but let's be honest, that's still pretty low budget for like,
Right.
you're not dealing with 100 million where it's like, I want to go over there.
Yeah.
Okay. No,
it's a sprawling film too. Like, it's all over the fucking place.
Yeah. You have this house. This is the house. I know this house doesn't look like what you had in the short film, but you have to make this house work. Okay. Oh, by the way, also, I know your film takes place in Wisconsin, but you have to shoot it down in Louisiana. Oh my God. Okay. Yep. Otherwise, we're not making it. Okay.
Right.
Yep. So I mean, look, The Domestics will always have a place in my heart as being the movie that, like, gave me my chance to make a big feature film with a studio. Like, holy shit! Like, I'll never be able to forget that. Like, that's an experience that will live on with me forever. But Wrong Turn was, again, such a release from feeling like, oh my God, if I don't do this right, I'm going to be worthless. Like, Wrong Turn it allowed me to explore things and do things with actors and story, and I got to work with my longtime collaborator friend Nick Junkersfeld, who had shot so many of my short films. Here, he got to come out and shoot the feature with me. Like, it was a whole different bunch of, like, cozy feels, that and so I can't really say, if it, they're both so different, and they both are such wonderful experiences, and so it's really hard to say which one was my favorite, but I do feel like down the road I will have one. I don't have a favorite right now because they're so different.
I can get what you're saying there, man. It kind of feels like you're, in one movie you're in charge of everything and everything's on you, and in the other movie you kind of get to play in somebody else's sandbox and be a little creative.
Yeah.
I could totally see what that would be like, writing from somebody else's script. Did you have much like interaction with Alan when you guys were doing it? Because I know it's got to be kind of weird too for the first time, being like, okay, now I've got somebody else's script, and I know how gung ho and attached to my script I was. Like, I don't want to fuck with their script. And then was there much interaction with you guys, or?
There was see, as a writer, there was always this level of respect. If I was going to change something, I always made sure I ran it by him. Like, I think he was always okay with it. Like 100% of the time, if I made a change, he was like, "Oh yeah, that's great. But even when I did a polish on the script, and did some rewriting on it at one point, like, I didn't just take the script from him and just be like, no, I'm going to go do this, and whatever I say goes. No, I was just like, listen, I want to do this, but I want to do this with you. I want to do this, and this. And then he was like, Mike, can I like, I'd love to be able to go in and, like, and mess with this. I'm like, dude, it's your script. Like, we're in this together, like I want to work with you on this. Like, I don't want to take this from you. I would hate it as a writer if somebody was just like, yeah, sorry, man. Like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do my thing now. Like, like, how terrible would that be?
If they like Stanley Kubrick, you, like, from the Stephen King thing, they're like, yeah, you know what? I'm good. Thanks.
Yeah,
Dave.
I can't do that, and I feel like there's so much imagination that can be found in collaboration. So, I mean, yeah. So working with Alan, definitely got the script to where it needed to be, before we started shooting. And then there were like I think 2 or 3 times when we were shooting where there needed to be like a quick rewrite, and I think there was a couple times where we just did it on the fly on set, and then there was a couple times where I was like, I'm gonna text Alan. I remember texting him, and he was like in the Star Trek writers' room, like working on Discovery. And he's like, shit, Mike, I'm in the writers' room. Like, can I call you in 5 minutes? I'm like, no. We are literally shooting this scene in like 10 minutes. I need to know like there's a real issue like with this moment. Like it doesn't make sense, and the actors are calling it out. Like, and I need your input on this because
Shit
like
bricks.
I can go and just like. I can go like fuck around with it, but like I would love your input.
Yeah.
And so he'd be like, okay. And like he would like, I don't know if he would step out. Like I'm envisioning this in my head, like what he's doing. Does he step out? Does he like, I have to go to the bathroom, and like he's like, and he literally texts me the what he wants him to say on the page, and I'm like, okay, this is what he wants you to say. So we write it out, we give it to the actor, and
That's crazy, man.
I imagine that he's at the table going like this. Shit. What were you saying about Captain Picard? What?
That's cool though, man. That's really
Yeah.
cool. It comes across though. I mean, it does come across in the movie too. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure when we were interviewing Alan, he said something to the effect of, Wrong Turn's another one of those movies that a lot of what he wrote made it to the screen, and he was proud of that. I can't remember exactly what he said about it, but he seemed to love a lot what you did as well. So that's good to hear, man.
yeah, and he's right. Like, I mean, ultimately the things that changed were, we took out a little, some of the like the little more heavy-handed stuff that, the little bit more of some of the preachier stuff that was kind of like, a little bit more in your face. We skimmed a little bit of that out. And then there was just some budgetary stuff that honestly, like, with our budget, which was $7 million, like we wouldn't have been able to do, so it was like, okay, how can we make the third act actually achievable? I think there was one draft where it was like literally like a giant like Game of Thrones battle on horses. Like it was insane. And like, and Jess and her dad, Jen and her dad are like are like trying to make it down the mountain. She's shooting people, and Venable has a giant sickle and he's like cutting people's heads off. I mean, it was insane. It was super epic, but I'm happy like that we were able to. It's one of those things where like when the budget can actually like help a movie find its tone better. And I feel like losing some of that like the movie found a much stronger voice, and it stayed a horror thriller. But ultimately Alan wrote that scene at the dinner table. That was a scene where I pitched a scene like that to producers, and they loved it, and I pitched it to Alan. I'm like, Alan, I'd love to see a scene like a super tense scene where they're just talking back and forth and you don't know who's going to make the first move. And he goes, I have an idea. And I was like, go for it. You know what I mean? Like, because that was what we were trying to do. Cause like, I always love when movies can like take it from one location to like a safe location. You think, okay, everything's going to be great. And then, it's not. And, what's the safest place in the world? The suburbs. Hell no, it's definitely not.
That's it, man.
Yeah,
that's exactly the end of that film. The way that you're talking about it, holy shit.
Yeah, and so getting his pages on that, it was just like that tension, and of course Bill and Charlotte just killing it, but I mean, and it was fun, and and then the ending during like the we'll call it the credit roll and everything like that, like that was something that he was totally all on board for doing something crazy like that. And that's why it was so great to work with Alan. Was like we could throw him some crazy curveballs, and he was like, and he knew if it was the movie, you know what I mean? And he was like, that is cool, and so we had a lot of fun.
That's cool, man. I honestly, I noticed that as kind of a theme through your two movies was a suburbia thing. And not just that, but for me, just being a fucking weirdo, when I'm driving on the interstate sometimes I'll be in a traffic jam and I'll look outside and I'll be like, man, what would it look like if a giant monster just like came over and just like fuck shit up right here?
Dude, I do the same
It's
thing.
weird,
That's so
right?
awesome.
It makes me feel fucked up. It really does. But the scene of the domestics when the planes are coming over the school and the kid's nose starts bleeding, that's what I thought of. Literally today when I was watching, I was like, fuck, I think about that kind of shit all the time, dude. And then like in the suburbia stuff where they're like taking over, I'm like, yeah. Because like suburbia seems like it's supposed to be the safest place ever. And then when weird shit comes into suburbia, it has this weird artifact that like, I don't know what kind of like feeling it provokes, but it's something. You know what I mean? Like that shit's not supposed to be here, damn it. You know?
Well, I mean, you can say that Halloween is the movie that completely changed the way that people saw suburbia. When it came out in the 70s, like that was one of the things that John Carpenter was saying was like, I mean, you have Laurie Strode like running from house to house, screaming, "Let me in, help me." And people aren't opening the door. Oh, it's a crazy young person.
Yeah.
Young people's voices in that environment are being squashed. And it's just like suburbia it can be a terrifying place. What is going on behind all those fucking closed doors?
Yeah. Exactly, dude. Exactly.
Like the people under the stairs, like John Carpenter, like 100%, like 100%. Yeah.
For some reason, my brain went to Erie, Indiana, when she had all those people in the fucking sandwich tins. You remember? Like, they were selling the shit. Anyway, Mike White says, "Love you guys. This is amazing." That was like hours ago, but Mike White just had to throw that in there.
Hey, Mike.
Derek Nangle says, "Hey, fellas, question for Mr. Nelson. If the rights change, would you ever consider directing or writing a new Jeepers Creepers?" That's...
Wow.
That's an interesting one.
That is an interesting one. I mean, I couldn't say, I mean, I can't say no. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess the thing is like, there would have to be a script, you know what I mean? I mean, it's like Wrong Turn. It's like, if I would have gotten a Wrong Turn and it would have felt like, Wrong Turn 7 in the lineup of all the other Wrong Turns.
Yeah.
I probably would have said no. You know what I mean? Like if it was just doing the same thing. But I mean, if somebody had a cool idea and, wrote a new take on the Jeepers Creepers, lore, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely. First of all, I would love to read it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if that script was awesome, like, hell yeah. I would love to take on something like that. That'd be
right on,
and I'd love to see somebody else take control of that too, so it can
and I
just
think
be
you could
free
do a
of
really
all the
good
shit.
job with it for sure.
Yeah,
100%,
dude, absolutely. And then Mike White Jr. again says, "Ask Mike what he thinks of 2018 Halloween and what he thinks of Kills."
Oh boy. Well, yeah. I'm super excited for Kills. Yeah, the new Halloween was, I think, it honestly, it was kind of like, it was what I was expecting it to be. Like and I enjoyed it. I remember walking out of the theater, and this might not be the popular opinion, but I remember walking out being like, whoa, they did a really freaking good job at like, starting this over again and like continuing the story. Like, what a cool idea. But like, it was weird. Like, as days went on, like I started for some reason I started liking it less and less, and I have to watch it again before Kills comes out. I've heard some really amazing things about Kills, and obviously I've been listening to you guys talk about it, and it sounds like they're really stepping it up, taking it to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
Like, look, like, I mean, there were some scenes in that thing that were straight up awesome. Like, I mean, I think one of the best moments in that was the motion lights.
Oh yeah, the fucking
dude,
floodlights that came on.
Yeah.
And that poor kid that just like, you're kind of on the fence because he kind of like pulled a shitty move, so you're like, shit, that's kind of like, that's horror territory for a death.
Yeah.
And then you're like, but like he didn't mean badly by it. He just and so that he's done for.
And then he literally ends up on the fence.
I know he's yeah, exactly.
Maybe that's what they were going for.
You fuck, son. You fucked.
And so yeah, like I honestly, like there was some really, really great moments. Honestly, I saw it once. I saw it in the theater, and like I said, I remember walking out being like, "Whoa, like awesome, awesome!" But then I don't know if I just started thinking too hard about it, and
I get that though. I get
you know
that
what I
though.
mean? Like I don't know, like, and I'm not the guy who's gonna be like, "Oh, it's nothing like the first one." Fuck
Yeah.
that. Like I get it. Like
Yeah.
let's revisit these properties. Let's do something fun with them, and honestly, like I think of anybody like to give that property to somebody like David Gordon Green, who I think had a really interesting, fresh take. That was one of the smartest things they could have done.
100%. Yep.
You
agree
know,
with that. Yep.
and so kudos to them, and glad Carpenter's still involved with it. And you know, look, they're dealing with a mega franchise. Like there's a lot that they got to do. They got to keep tabs on a lot of stuff. But like, I'm super excited for Kills though. I think that's gonna be a really cool one. Again, like Alan said on his interview, like that teaser where she's just screaming "Let it burn." It that itself leaves a lasting impression as to what you're going to experience. I think, and
I think of
it's
it
exciting.
as like the Force Awakens. Like when the Force Awakens had to do the Star Wars thing, like they had to reintroduce everybody to it. They had to recalibrate everybody into that world. And then I'm hoping that Halloween Kills will be what the Return of the Jedi or whatever the fuck it was supposed to be. Like, okay, now we laid the ground rules down. We set it all up again. But now in the second one, we can do whatever the fuck we want, and we're gonna go crazy.
Well,
They didn't do that with Star Wars, but I'm hoping they do that with Kills.
You know what? If you're gonna go with the Star Wars analogy, like if Halloween, the 2018 was Star Wars, then you're gonna have Halloween Kills being Empire Strikes Back, so it's gonna be the darker of the trilogy,
right?
And then you're gonna have Return of the Jedi, where Laurie Strode might be Luke Skywalker finally confronting Darth Vader and ending the tyranny. I think you're on to something right there. I think that's exactly what they're gonna do. I think that in a lot of ways, like Star Wars trilogy is exactly what Halloween trilogy in some ways are trying to mimic, as far as like you have the Star Wars episode 4, A New Hope, you have Halloween coming in, and then you have Empire Strikes Back, the darker of the trilogy, and then you have Return of the Jedi would be Halloween Ends. Yeah, dude, like that's a good point. Like
I like that. To me feels like that'd be a really great, like, to have Halloween Kills be like that super dark, like, oh my god, like everything is just everything's falling apart.
Right. Yeah, at the end of that fucking movie, you're like, what the shit just happened? Like Luke Skywalker's like lost his hand.
Yeah.
Like,
yep. I have no doubts that Kills is gonna fucking rage. I think it's gonna be the favorite of the franchise. Actually, the only one I'm actually worried about is Ends, because like I think Kills just sounds like so much of a sure thing to me right now. I'm like, then you got to land it, and when you have to land it, that's the problem with like 97% of movies, right? Like, how many movies have we seen? I know this is a trilogy, but if you're looking at one movie, how many movies have you seen that 80% and you're like, this is fucking crazy. What are they gonna do next? How is this gonna land? And then when they land it, you're like, oh fuck, that kind of ruined the whole goddamn thing. Ends is what I'm scared of when it comes to that trilogy. It really is.
It's a scary one.
Well, and again, like going back to what you're saying about landing, it's hard because when you have a trilogy, and when you have such a beloved trilogy, like, can you imagine the discussions that the writer or the writers have in that room with the executives about how this is going to be pulled off and how this is going to make the fans happy, and how, like, I mean, to be in that position, not only is it like kind of, oh my god, I can't believe we're talking about this right now. How cool is that? Like, it's super like nerdy, like, oh my god, this is so cool. But at the same time, you're like, but yeah, oh my god, like this is serious. Like, we need to do something that does something and says something. And what's unfortunate about a lot of these things that land is they land, yet it's so lukewarm.
Yeah.
There's nothing said. And look, no matter what you do, somebody's going to hate it. So, you can't satisfy everybody, but like, you almost want something that like says something like, oh, and like, and just accept the fact that it's going to be divisive.
Mm-hmm.
And because I feel like divisive things are the ones that like get people talking. Divisive things are the things that like get people like, no, hear me out. This is what it says. This is what it means.
Yeah.
that's what you want. You don't want, this like, it's not about ending it happy, but it's not like this thing that like, well, you walk out like, that was good.
I'm
Oh
not
my
mad.
gosh. If you literally
Right on.
walk out of Halloween Ends and be like, that was good. Oh man, that's failure. That's
the worst.
failure.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
Worst.
there
Worst.
needs to be like something that you're literally like people are coming out being like, holy shit, dude,
Yeah,
oh my
dude.
god. And then you have the other people being like, that was fucking retarded. I hate it. That's stupid. That's stupid.
That's the convo you need to have. Like, you need to be at B-dubs at 11:30 p.m. and be like, dude, what the fuck just happened? That was crazy. And like,
Yeah.
dude, that was stupid as fuck. Like, no, dude, you forget. Like, this happened here, and they're like, no, that was dumb. Like, I like that conversation. You gotta have that conversation.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta have like this crazy, like this, people walking out talking about it as they leave. If they go like, yeah.
I think today, like with social media and stuff, I think that may be a big part of it too, is because people get more feedback now than they've ever gotten in the history of the world. So it's so easy to take all that feedback and calibrate it to exactly what fans want and then give them exactly what they want. But then you almost like it's easy to do, but then you walk out feeling like this deep hole in your stomach, like you're unfulfilled. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not angry, but I'm also not fucking psyched, and like I think that's really interesting when it comes to Halloween. But Marco Vivilatoro says, if given the opportunity to direct any of the horror giants, which would he be more intrigued to film of any of the horror giants? Which we touched on a little bit, but free reign.
I mean, I love the Pumpkinhead answer just because like it's not so on the nose. I don't know if Pumpkinhead is necessarily considered a giant though. At one point when I heard that the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was kind of up, that property was kind of up in the air, before it was gonna be remade, or in Fetty's case continued off the first movie. I came up with a pitch for it, like an idea for it that I thought was really interesting, and that was something that was really exciting, because that's been a movie that I feel like there's such a strange, mysterious lore behind that family and that character that again, like I wasn't a huge fan of the remake in, was it 2003, and the other ones I just too glossy. Like the thing about Texas Chainsaw for me was always how grimy it was. And
Felt gross watching it.
Yeah, I mean, and what's so interesting about that original one was it wasn't even that like splattery and bloody. It was just like, it was the way that it was photographed. It was like there was a real feeling that they captured, whether they were going for that or not. They did it, and so the kind of the glossier remakes and prequels that came out just really didn't hold up for me. But like, I think with the Texas Chainsaw, like it was all about these small personal, intimate stories. And I mean, in the first one, you think about it, it's like it's an intimate story of these kids, this one girl going to make sure that their grandfather's grave hasn't been exhumed. Like that's like a very like specific, super intimate story specific to a person. And to me, that's what it should be. And I don't know, like the other ones just got so like they just got so out of sorts and too big, and I didn't like that. So
yeah, I get that. Yeah.
I mean, I would have loved to have taken on a Texas Chainsaw Massacre story, like again, like in a very new and unique way. But if I'm to go back on one of the giants, Pumpkinhead maybe not being in that group, it would be fun to maybe delve into the world of Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, it's hard to deny.
Crazy.
It's hard to
Yeah.
fucking deny that, dude. It would be hard not to look at that.
I mean, I don't know how much more Robert Englund has in him. I mean, he did just appear on the Goldbergs as Freddy Krueger like a couple years
That's
ago or
true,
whatever.
yeah, I
So
know.
like, and he looked pretty damn good in the
Yeah, he did.
makeup.
That's true.
But I don't know what that would look like right now. But I mean, again, like I said, I've had dreams that I've been on set, and I've been like, holy shit, I'm directing the next Nightmare on Elm Street movie, and then I would wake up.
Would you want to get Robert Englund to come back to reprise the role of Freddy Krueger, or would your mindset to be like, I gotta get somebody new, like I gotta get like some fresh blood in this? Like as a director, like it would be awesome. I assume to direct Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger, but
Well, I think I think that's the tough question, is because you have it's his face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's that guy's face. It's not, and not detracting from any of the guys who played Jason. They all had their ways of doing it. But I mean, you could put that mask on a big guy,
Right.
and that could take some really great cues and some kill cues, and standing tall and being creepy in the background.
Mhm.
But I mean, when you look at what they said about and I don't know if you guys know the history of Nightmare on Elm Street 2, and they cast just a nobody to be the Freddy Krueger, to be Freddy Krueger, and he was terrible.
Yeah, he like ran around doing like the hand motions like a Frankenstein. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like, okay, bring back Robert, and they did. That's a really tough one, and again, like I think my instinct would be like, man, yeah, I would love to be able to like bring back that original face, because that face is such a big part of Freddy Krueger. You know what I mean? It's like it's almost kind of like it's a mistake, I think, to make another Indiana Jones, but without Harrison Ford. You know what I mean?
I get you. Yeah.
It just is. And I mean, I know there was a lot of people saying like it was a mistake to do Wrong Turn because you don't have Three Finger.
That's not really.
I kind of disagree with that, but like there's going to be plenty of people that I think hear that and be like, well, you did this.
I gotta be honest with you, man. When I saw the Three Fingers things, I went, the fucking guy with the that's not the same thing. It just doesn't. I didn't miss. No offense to that guy. I just That's.
But no, I get.
That's a weird thing to hold on to and be like, I need this. That's a weird choice you made there.
I get you, man. Like you have the choice. You either maybe direct Robert Englund in the Freddy Krueger makeup again, or you have to cast someone new as the new Freddy Krueger, and you have to direct that. What do you do?
But it's hard because like. The thing is, and I guess you could maybe you blame the director, maybe you blame. There's a lot of things you could blame about the remake, but you mean Jackie Earle Haley?
He's
a great actor.
Yeah.
He's a great actor, but they tried it, and it was weird.
Yeah.
It wasn't right. Something wasn't right about that.
It's mostly the squirrel CGI face they put on him, but it didn't help at least.
There's a problem there. Like like Apollo 13. Yeah, we got a problem here, Houston. Like,
I think what it comes down to is if you're gonna take a property like that, you gotta find that thing that that can really make it fresh. And like I think with the remake, it was just a remake. There was a different story to it, but like there wasn't anything new other than going to Freddy's dream sequence world and waking up and and the history, and there was that slight little turn in it where it was like, well, maybe he was just misunderstood, and you're like, oh, maybe he was. And I mean, that was kind of an interesting thing, but then it was like, nope, he was actually really just a creepy pedophile. Right. And you're like, oh, well, I guess that makes sense because that's what we know Freddy Krueger to be. Right. There would need to be that thing, that very different, unique thing to make it its very own.
100%.
But I don't honestly, I don't know the answer to that. Apparently Elijah Wood has the answer.
I heard that too. Yeah.
I wish I knew what that was, because I mean, honestly, like, you know, I think Elijah Wood's been taking some really ballsy, interesting chances. You know, some work, some don't, but I think that that's what's so cool about filmmaking.
Well,
And
he
that's
did
what's
destroy the One Ring, so we don't know what he's capable of.
Dude,
Yeah.
man, we can't thank you enough for hanging out with us tonight. And you've been a fucking champ. You went way longer than we had you scheduled to go. I really do appreciate it. I know that the chat appreciates it, man.
Awesome.
What we'd love to have you on again at some point if you want to just talk some shit. I could ask you a bunch of questions about domestics. I had a whole list of shit about domestics I could ask you about. I loved it, man. Especially go back the second time and you're like, oh shit, there's even more here than I thought there was.
Well, just give me one to end it off with then. Just one.
Okay. Well, I gotta don't make me pull up my list here. I got notes, Mike.
Just give me one, and then we'll call it a night.
I got 100 notes going on about it, but so for instance, okay, Willie, the character of Willie, you got and this guy, what's his name? David Dastmalchian? Is that Dastmalchian? You say his name.
Yeah.
This is the guy, and Jay and I watched literally last night. Jay and I watched and did a commentary for The Dark Knight. Right, and he's the cop that's sitting there like shaky, sweaty face, just smiling at, and Aaron Eckhart's like, God damn it, you know, he doesn't understand there's something wrong with him. And then he's in your movie, and he's like a fucked up, like he's like a Zed from Pulp Fiction version of Pee Wee Herman, like fuck, just
that's what it was supposed to be.
Are you serious?
I'm 100% serious.
Done.
Like that, like. See, to me, it was always about creating a scene that like I'm not the guy. I'm not gonna go out. I can't do a rape sequence. Sorry, I just can't.
I hate those. So good.
Like it's so hard for me to deal with. I have a hard time watching them. I have a hard time when movies have them. It's very rarely that a movie has it, and I feel like they needed to do that. But you know, for me, it was about like creating a scene like that builds an expectation about that, and that making people uncomfortable. And you know, David and I had talked about that, and it was so cool. Like when we reached out to David to do the role, like he didn't even read the script; he read the scene, just that scene, and he goes, "I'm in." And I was like, oh, yeah. I was like, "That's so cool." You know, it was about like. Again, that scene was all about expectations, all about, you know, creating a scene in your mind that could have ended up being worse than what it ended up being. He just, like, working with him on that day was so incredibly fun. I remember when we sat, like when we were working, like he had this idea. He goes, I understand this, like I get this, and I'm like, okay. Here's what we're going to do then. I'm not going to like get in your head about, you know, Willie and what he should do. I'm just going to go 1, 2, or 3. 1 is, I want you to be subdued. 2 is, you know, you're a little bit more lively. You're out there. And 3, you're just absolutely batshit crazy. And so what we did was, you know, sometimes we would do 2 takes of a scene. Sometimes it was 1. Sometimes it was 3 takes of a shot, whatever. And you know, when we'd cut and we go to the next take, I'd be like, David. He'd be like, okay. And then you know, David. Okay. And
like a picture. Like
then in the editing room, our editor Julia Wong, who is awesome. Like it was literally going through all those performances and cutting a 1 next to a 3, next to a 1, next to a 2.
That's cool.
Next to a 2, next to a 1, next to a 3. And it was just like, and it literally just made like this moment like so nuts. And it was so cool. Like I was able to watch it with people in the theater, and like when he opens up that bathroom door and the door opens and there's a Jeff Chase, who's an amazing, you know, actor and a stunt guy. He's standing behind that door. You just hear everybody go. No, it was definitely one of the most memorable moments shooting that film, and we literally shot that whole sequence in a day.
That's fucking awesome.
Like we had to like we were flying. Like
That's
David
crazy.
was out. We shot the scene. He left.
Holy
That's
shit,
aw-
Flash Gordon.
I can see,
love it.
dude, and I can see exactly what you're saying that scene because he goes from like, I like to see ultraviolet shit, and I'm a fucking weirdo, to all of a sudden
Yeah.
like, yeah, cocksuckers, let's fucking go. I'm like, man, he just went from like 0 to 11 real quick. It was an amazing scene, dude. It was awesome. It's fucking cool to hear the behind the scenes about that. That's amazing,
Yeah, it was fun.
dude. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight.
Man, thank you, man.
You guys let me know when you wanna talk shit again, and let's do it.
Absolutely.
do it.
You can
Let's
bet
do
on it,
it.
dude.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
definitely will. Hey, thank you, man. Thanks, Mike White, for getting us in touch with you. Man, we can't wait to see what you do next, man. And trust me, don't worry about it. I feel like you're
I'm gonna
definitely
say
gonna get to
Pumpkinhead.
that 5th film and a fucking lot
Have
more.
that happen. We're gonna have that happen. Fuck yeah.
Pumpkinhead, yeah.
Pumpkinhead. Start a trend on Twitter. Hashtag Pumpkinhead.
Let's fucking do it.
Mike P. Nelson. Let's do that.
I want
I
that
love
shit.
that.
I need it.
I love it.
All right, brother. Hey, thank you so
Thank
much,
you,
man. Can't thank you
All
enough.
right. It's been a lot of fun, guys. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too,
Hey, you
brother.
too, man.
And
Thank
good
you.
night, chat. You guys have an amazing night. Thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight.